more answers than you know.
Each had multiple stab wounds. Some had defensive wounds, showing they fought with the attacker. And there was no sexual assault. County Coroner Kathy Mabbutt is describing the murders as personal.
Okay, so hey, Kamala Cross, you're actually not late. I had an emergency call the crisis team of the people I work with, and I just got off it a few minutes ago. So you're right at the beginning. If you do want to watch now, we'd love to have you in a live stream and chat to discuss with us. And welcome to everybody who is here in the live stream in chat to discuss it with us, what is going to be discussed this evening. And also welcome to everybody who is watching the replay. I appreciate all of you. Come on in and get comfortable. Yeah. So, we are pretty respectful of one another on this channel. People say things that do not agree with one another all the time. And in my opinion, people say some fucking crazy things sometimes. And I'm sure some of you think I say some fucking crazy things sometimes. And it's all good. The rules are, please be respectful of one another, the victims, and the victim's family members, because you never know who is watching, and sometimes you do know who is watching, and you ask that we all observe those rules, that we have to observe those rules this evening. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about this evening is the exculpatory evidence. Just one moment, please. I have to tell my son to stop. He's playing with never mind, I don't want to tell you. It's going to sound like something violent is going on in my house, but it's really not. Just 1 minute, I have to mute. Okay, very good. Okay, so he got his first CO2 air BB gun, and it doesn't have anything in it, but I can hear he keeps pulling the trigger, which isn't good for it anyway, of course, and it's really loud. You guys can probably hear it too. So I think it's important to know how to use a gun. I was raised that way. As a lot of you know, I have a family of law enforcement and lawyers for as far as you can see. It makes for some really dry get-together sometime, but it was just very important in our family that certain things happen, and knowing how to use a gun, it was one of them. How you feel about them if you ever come across one and you're like, oh my God, I have to use that, or someone else is going to, you better know what you're doing, right? So anyway, that's like initiation into the Creator Kelly family. Okay, so yeah, it is really important. I mean, it is really important. I've shot a gun. I know how to use a gun. When I lived in Philadelphia, I had a license to carry, and I just had a gun that was in a safe in my closet. I don't like carry it around with me or anything, but I lived in some, fringy neighborhoods by myself for many years when I was in my 20s and 30s. And, I'd be out very late at night, and, it just felt like it was a good thing to do anyhow. So if you don't know, if guns scare you, if you had to pick up a gun in an emergency and you're like, oh my God, I have no idea what to do with this, and I'm just used to start crying and sweating, maybe take like a gun safety class, and then you'll gain some confidence, and, you'll feel better about things, and I'll feel better that you feel safe and confident. So that would be great. I suggest it. Okay. So tonight what we're going to talk about is the exculpatory evidence that the defense started saying that Bethany Funk, one of the surviving roommates, of course, the one that was not heard from so much in the probable cause affidavit, the one who has not been heard from at all, except for that was a pastor, or can't remember what his title was. He was some kind of a spiritual leader in the University of Idaho community who read the letters that Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk wrote at the memorial for the victims, which was, my God, just so heart-wrenching. Like every single moment of this case or anything about it since it happened, it is really a true horrific atrocity that people do want to know about, and people are curious about, and people are concerned about. And with this strict and tight gag order, I know we've talked about in, this channel's conversations many times, is the gag order really making things worse? And I just personally believe that yes, it is. And also hearing from the perspective of students from the University of Idaho who were very close to the victims, both in terms of a relationship and in terms of physically, where they called home while they were at school. After hearing from them, the way that they feel, the way the gag order is affecting them, and their nerves and their anxiety and their frustration, and sometimes their anger and their fear, it is not good. I mean, I know that all of those things would exist were it not for the gag order, because they have just gone through some kind of horrible trauma. And trauma is not easy to work with or move past, or to develop skills to constructively deal with it. So it is not, causing a lot of pain in your life frequently. Trauma is a tough one. And then they also have like opinions outside of just what their experience is, and they make very good points. And I think I'm going to write the judge a letter about what we all think. If you want to get on board, send me your opinion. I'll be sure to include your voice about this, like, over the top gag order, in my opinion. Okay. So with that gag order, the only thing I feel like we have really heard about the case from anybody who ostensibly truly knows, like is in the know, is through the motions and the response to the motions and all of the court filings that we have been privy to seeing since Brian Koberger was arrested, since the gag order, and then gag order went into place, January 3rd or 5th, I believe. So, we've been hearing this term exculpatory evidence thrown around like a volleyball since Brian Koberger's defense team first mentioned it back in April, saying that, filing a motion, therefore saying, you get it. We are filing a motion to compel the testimony of surviving roommate Bethany Funk at Idaho State versus Brian Koberger's preliminary trial hearing, because we believe, based on experiences that were paraphrasing kind of right now. I'm just pulling this from memory. I'm not reading the document. Experiences that were unique to Bethany Funk's experience. Bethany Funk heard and saw things that were unique to her experience that nobody else can contribute as far as testimony or pieces of the puzzle to solve this case. When the trial goes down, defense obviously wants to solve it in the name of innocence, and the prosecution obviously wants to solve it, putting the bastard away because they believe that he committed these atrocities. Most of us know what happened. Bethany Funk, in turn, filed a motion to quash. At the end of the day, this was all an exercise in futility because there was no pretrial hearing, because the state pulled a let's convene a secret grand jury card, which you cannot do in that manner in some states, but obviously you can do it in Idaho. So the Bethany Funk testifying in the preliminary hearing issue became moot. But what is not moot, and what I don't think will ever be moot, is the casual nature. Let me turn off my ringer here. Oh shit, thank you. Jeannie just informed me. Thank you so much, Jeannie. Jeez. Well, let me finish reading your text, but this is a good one. So I can't pin it because it's a text. You're the best, Jeannie. Jeannie knows everything. If you guys need to know something, go hit up Jeannie Ramsey, because let me tell you something. Jeannie knows. All right. She says, if you write that judge a letter, it becomes part of the case, the state of Idaho versus Brian Koberger, and it is a public forum immediately. It will be on every news channel. Shit, Jeannie. Let's start writing that letter. Seriously, we are writing a letter. We are writing a letter. And if you feel it's important that you have something you need to say that I should include on our community's behalf in that letter, you're going to have to email me, because I'm probably not going to see it if you just leave it in chat. wattsobsession@gmail.com. Jeannie, by the end of this week, we're going to have that letter sent. Yes, we are, because it's ridiculous. And you know what? I, Kelly, creator of What's the Obsession, has an experience that's unique to myself. And I have heard and seen things that are unique to myself that I want to share. Is anyone calling me from Seattle, Washington? That's a weird one. I don't know. If you are speaking or for your hold your peace, or I'm not going to answer it. Okay. So the term exculpatory evidence has been being used very liberally. Do you guys agree with that? I know when I started law school, that I left halfway through on a full scholarship. Many of you know this story. I am not a lawyer. I'm not pretending to be one. I'm telling you about my experience. It's unique to me. I remember the first thing that when I was in college, I was there as a psych and bio major at first. And then I decided to go to law school because I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself, because I was young. I was 21 and 22. So I did not get the pre-law education that my peers got. And here I am on a full scholarship. I'm supposed to be this like shining collegiate star. I knew things because my family are like, law hogs. So, but I didn't get the education. So the very first assignment I had that I was like, I have no idea what this is about. I don't know what this means. I didn't know what anything meant that I read in the damn book, was about exculpatory evidence. Why didn't I just look it up? You couldn't Google it quite as easily back then. I'm 44, but I don't even think I looked it up in a dictionary. Anyhow, I'm always aware when the term exculpatory evidence comes into the room, because it was my first trigger for fear, terror, anxiety, and having a sense of doomed failure for all of eternity as a law school student. It was all about the exculpatory evidence. So I'm just super aware of when people talk about it, truly. And it's never used as casually as it has been in this case, in my opinion. What do you guys think about that? Hey, Mitch, how you doing? Drink wine and I know things. That's so funny. I think she's in the driveway right now, honey. We got some Instacart waiting. Yeah, John, I've heard you say things similar to this before. I always really like your comments, John. Thank you so much for being here. John Custom Saws says, makes people start and spread crazy theories. Some of the stuff I've heard is wild. No offense to the WSU Kim, Dave, 17 frat dudes theory. Yeah, I know. There are those people there, and I see you. I see you in chat, and I also see you perving around and trolling on my channel. How are you doing? It's okay that that's your theory. It totally, of course, is, but many of you know how I feel about that. And we do know that WSU Kim is a verified catfish. So, you know, if you want to watch her appearances on various YouTube channels for entertainment, I mean, hey, we watch crazy things for entertainment, don't we? But please don't believe a word that's said. I promise you. Many other people will promise you too. All right. So what we're going to first watch, and this is going to end in a little over an hour in explaining exactly what I've come to learn. Not only the students that I have been in close contact with, who are the two students from the University of Idaho, who are Ethan Chapin's fraternity brother. I've been in contact with them since about a week and a half after November 13th. They've been, and I know people are going to push back on this, but for those of you who are listening and are like really want to know, every story that they've shared has not only been very sober in its tone. It's never hyperbolic. It's never over dramatic. And of course, especially at first, when they first started telling me things, who is this? Is anyone calling me from Seattle, Washington? I'm not answering it. Can you call from Seattle, Washington? Do you know from Seattle, Washington? No. Oh, Jesus Christ. No time for that. Okay. If at first, of course, when they were sharing things with me, I would, I would check them and I would recheck them and I have other people check them and I triple check them and I check them from every possible source and angle I could find, because I wasn't going to even mention what they had to say if it turned out to be BS. And I have never, ever found evidence or anything that's shown, oh gosh, they told you something that was a lie. They told you something that was like spun, or they're just straightforward. And at this point in my life, when people come across my path for the reason of being opportunistic or just using me for some reason, I really do believe I have a sense of that, at least to some degree, and there just is none there. So I present to you the story that they tell. I mean, some of it, and this is part of it, just with that endorsement. And then, of course, you can form your own opinion from there and should. So I have come to believe that the story that they accept as being what Bethany Funk's experience was and what her story was. And Doug Kelly, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you didn't know that. You didn't know that? We haven't talked about that yet? Because we were talking about something having to do with this. Kids, I don't remember what. I said, oh my God, I think I know what the exculpatory evidence is. And the reaction was, you didn't know that? Didn't we talk about that? So then we started talking about how, wait a minute, of course I didn't know that. You knew that? And then learning about how many other people in that university community also know, air quote, that, or believe that, or that is their strong source-based, evidence-based theory. So all the material leading up to that is to build the foundation for me sharing the story of what is known by Bethany Funk's peers at the University of Idaho, at least a certain number of them, that truly does make total sense as far as the timeline and a number of other things that we know to be true through the probable cause affidavit, the timelines that have been built, the 3D images that have been created and everything else. I want you to see how it all fits together, kind of the way it did for me when I finally had that aha moment. And I said to them, oh my God, I think I know what the exculpatory evidence is. So I'm hoping that what I'm going to take you through to the point where we get to talking about exactly what she heard and what she saw and how it fits perfectly, except for one thing. The one thing I cannot figure out, and you guys are all going to have to think hard on this and tell me how this works out for the state, is that what Bethany Funk heard and saw that evening is it stands in opposition to what I believe is Bryan Kohberger and his defense team's story that, well, by the way, hey, Bryan Kohberger's alibi is that he likes to drive around at night aimlessly in the middle of the night when it is very cold and such. It does not stand in opposition of that. But I do believe the second part of the assertion that Kohberger and his defense team made regarding his alibi, and please tell me if you think I am wrong. So many things have been said about this case. I know I sometimes will start to, kind of put like a well-developed, theory or speculative item into my like fact folder. And then, I have to, white sage my brain and, try to get it out of there because it's really easy because there is a lot of information out there. Why is my phone blowing up with numbers I don't know? I got to turn my ringer off. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. If somebody is calling me, it's an emergency. Get Jeannie or Midge's attention in chat, and then they can let me know, please. Yeah, so I lost my train of thought. So we're going to take a look at this first. I gave a lot of thought how to build this logically for you guys so it would make the most sense, because I decided if I am going to feel pretty uncomfortable like I am right now, I feel uncomfortable about revealing things that have not been yet revealed. I'm going to at least do it in a way that has value to you. So all of this uncomfortableness at least is like worth it. I don't know. I just wanted to make sense. Okay, here we go. The playbook is what we need first. Okay. All right, so we will move through my niceties and wait. Yeah, okay. This is Kelly from Watch the Obsession. Thanks for taking time to watch this video. Please click like and subscribe and hit the bell for future notifications. Oh, and hey guys, when you get a chance, please go click the like. I very much appreciate it. And thank you guys so much for being here. Everybody in the chat, everybody watching the replay, you guys are awesome. Oh, and the contest is still on. If you don't know what I am going to be telling you, Bethany Funk heard and saw that terrible late evening, early morning then of November 13th. Go ahead and put your best theory in the chat there. Put at Watch the Obsession before it so I see it. And whoever gets the closest is going to be crowned the queen or king of Exculpatory. And we have a couple of cool prizes you can pick from for being able to read my mind. But a couple of you know, not very many people, I believe, know. But so if you know, you can't guess. Not fair. All right.
In the documents obtained by Fox News, the subpoena demands one of the surviving roommates, Bethany Funk, appear in court in June to testify at Bryan Kohberger's preliminary hearing. This is not the roommate who witnessed a masked man in their home the morning 4 of her friends were murdered, but a second roommate who told police she was in the basement at the time and never went upstairs.
After the channel's most recent live stream, I was thinking about this. The amount of information that the defense team, Brian Koberger's defense team, led by Ann Taylor, has managed to get out to the public, to the masses, to potential jurors in the midst of a strict and broad gag order that has been in effect since January 5th, 2023. Before we get into the rest of this video, I just want to acknowledge the victims and their families. The victims, Kelly Gonsalves, Madison Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Granodal. May we find justice for them and peace for the families. And then I was also thinking about this, which is a statement I read a couple times during the live stream that is from the defense's objection to the state's motion for a protective order regarding some of the DNA evidence, and particularly the investigative genealogy DNA evidence. So the statement reads, no matter what came first, the car or genetic genealogy, the investigation has provided precious little. There is no connection between Mr. Koberger and the victims. There is no explanation for the total lack of DNA evidence from the victims in Mr. Koberger's car, office, apartment, home, or vehicle. So what exactly does that mean? When I first read that statement, or when I was first thinking about that statement, I was wondering, oh my gosh, does that mean that there is literally no evidence from the victims in Koberger's apartment, office, car, or his space anywhere that they have investigated? But then I thought about the show that the defense has been putting on ever since the pretrial proceedings for this case have started. And that is, of course, as far as we know, because many people close to this case are under that broad and very strict gag order. So let's think about one of the first times that we heard from the defense in a big way, and a way that made headlines. And that was the defense's motion to compel Bethany Funk to testify at the pre-trial hearing. So what was the defense's reason for compelling her to testify in that pre-trial hearing? Well, according to what they had to say, it was because Bethany Funk had exculpatory evidence that could, well, by the definition of exculpatory evidence, they're saying that could exonerate Brian Koberger. Okay, so just a couple questions. Is the audio okay? Because I just realized I don't have my AirPods in. Is the audio okay? That's question number one. Don't lose your mental place in what we're talking about there in that little video. And I just want to address, I'm just going to address one comment, and I'm not going to address it again. And this comment is representative of, of what a number of people have had to say all along, and what a number of people have said today and will say tonight, and, all of that. I am not the only one that has, grown to trust what, in particular, I always specifically refer to the two students of the University of Idaho that I've been in contact with, since, it was right around a little bit after Thanksgiving time, because, that is I've talked to them freaking lot. I've talked to them on the phone a lot. We've emailed a lot. We've done Google Meets or whatever, a lot. And let me just explain to you, just so I'm not trying to convince you of anything. You are going to hear and see and, process whatever is available and you seek out regarding this case on my channel, on other channels, whatever, with anything you're interested in. Okay. And then you make your own decisions and listen, it's all good. This channel is called Wants the Obsession. I have lived and carried the well, no, others have carried I have carried one of the torches through being, well, no, that's not even true. I didn't even get it so bad as a lot of people, but I've been through the Watts case, and this has gotten almost as bad as that, but it's all good. It's fine. But for those who are interested, let me explain. So some things you might want to know. So Lori Schilling, let's see, Snyder Hannon, welcome Lori. How are you doing? I hope you're doing awesome. Says, like those kids are going to tell you the truth. Not, well, again, you know, I said just a few minutes ago that everything, every story that they've shared with me since we started talking, and there is nothing that I have not checked up on. And I mean, I'm sorry, guys, I hope that is not offensive, and I don't think it will be. Things have just been very easy in like our communication. I've said a couple things like I probably shouldn't have said, you know, like it's all good. So other things have happened, but it's all good, you know. It's like it's all good. It's just, as I explained earlier, when things like the WSU Kims of the YouTube without content at the moment need to make bullshit up regardless of the consequences on victims' families and things like that. When that started to come out, it was just it was freaking intense. I mean, the things that were said were, I mean, they really hurt people. They really hurt the friends of the victims. They really hurt the Chapin family. They really hurt families. They really hurt a lot of people. And at that time, many people were super confused about the gag order. Does that mean nobody can talk about it? Does that just mean if you've been called as a witness, you can't talk about it? For all of those of you who have submitted to me veiled threats of, you know, like as though I or these two young men are committing some kind of a crime, it's, don't worry about it. We've already checked into it, but thank you so much for the suggestion. I really appreciate you looking out for me. We've been under the advice of counsel all along, so I know exactly, I know where the boundaries are, and I would not cross them. And I wouldn't put the channel in jeopardy of that, because you guys mean a lot to me. You know, this community means a lot to people. I certainly wouldn't put the two young men in jeopardy or any of their friends or anyone else I've talked to. I wouldn't put, you know, it's just such a stupid thing to do. My interest in this trial is justice for those victims and a greater sense of peace. Hopefully, I pray for those family members. My God, what a horrible thing that happened. That's where my interest is. And as far as this channel goes, as many of you know, I'm a behavioral therapist. It's in exploring human behavior and relationship dynamics, because duh, who doesn't want to do that anyway? So come on, guys, let's do it together. Hey, you like true crime too? Yeah, let's do it together. Like, that's like it, okay? So I know that they have told the truth. And I don't say that out of some kind of feeling of being defensive, or it's just what's up. It's just super plain. It's not complicated. It's not layered. It's not spun. It's not fabricated. It's not WSU Kim. It's not conspiracy theories. It's not the cartels in Moscow. It's not the regional center for a variety of substance sales out of 1122 King Road. It's not that. It's just, it's kind of boring, actually. I mean, I'm kind of surprised more people aren't bored to tears. The facts of what's up are so much less twisty and turny than the things people have made up, because in their boredom and lack of content and fear that their content isn't going to continue to do what they wanted to do, they tried to make it really interesting. But the problem with that is when you add in those really super interesting details, you start to forget them. And then, everyone else's BS meter gets a little more sensitive. So, you guys stop with that stuff. We know what you're doing. We got your number. Don't worry about it. But yeah, they are super trustworthy. And you don't have to believe me, but I'm just telling you how it is. Exculpatory evidence is evidence that shows that somebody is not guilty of the crime for which they are charged. So let's go ahead and take a look at that motion to compel Bethany Funk's testimony at the pre-trial hearing and see exactly what it has to say. So here this says, well, the person who is authoring this document introduces himself as an investigator that was retained by the defense.
There we go. God, that looks
Brian
better.
Kohlberger. And I'm starting here at line 7. It says, Bethany Funk's bedroom was on the first floor. The other surviving roommate's bedroom was on the second floor. Bethany Funk was interviewed by police on several occasions. She disclosed things she heard and things she saw. Bethany Funk was present at the home 8 hours later when police were called, arrived on scene, and discovered the homicide. The statement in the document goes on to say, during the course of my investigation, it became known to me that Bethany Funk has information material to charges against Mr. Kohlberger. Portions of information Ms. Funk has is exculpatory to the defendant. Ms. Funk's information is unique to her experience and cannot be provided by another witness. So, in my opinion, much of the statement within this document by the investigator certainly is true. Bethany Funk was interviewed by officials. She heard and saw things. She told them about things that she heard and that she saw. And of course, her experience is unique to herself.
So, what exactly could this exculpatory evidence be that the defense is continuing to allude to? Now, understand that the defense is under ethical guidelines that, according to the oath that they've taken to be an officer of the law, to be a member of the American Bar Association, they can't just throw out statements that are baseless, that don't have any foundation in fact or any kind of evidence that they are aware of. So for the defense to say that they believe that a certain witness has exculpatory evidence, it's under the scrutiny of the court eventually, if they choose for it to be under their scrutiny, to test the validity of the statement, at least the knowledge that the defense attorney had in making that statement at that time. So Ann Taylor is well aware that she is representing a defendant in a very high profile case, and she has an exceptional trial record history, which is one reason she is the defense attorney for Brian Kohlberger. So unless she's going to put everything on the line, unless she's going to put this trial on the line and her career as an attorney on the line, we have to believe that Ann Taylor has a good faith reason to assert that she believes Bethany Funk might have, or she says has, evidence that may be exculpatory to Brian Kohlberger's guilt. So I'm not an attorney, but our YouTube friend, the lawyer you know, is. So, hey, if you haven't subscribed to his channel, it's a great channel with analysis of all of the true crime cases you follow. So definitely check it out. But here is what Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know, has to say about what I was just commenting on.
One of the things about being a lawyer and litigating cases is you have to know how to use leverage and use the tools in your toolbox. And when you feel like you have something, you have to use it appropriately and ethically in order to get what you want or need in a case.
So where does that leave us as far as what the defense has been doing with the amount of information that they have gotten out to the public and therefore potential jurors in the midst of a strict and broad gag order, starting with claiming that Bethany Funk has exculpatory evidence proving that Brian Kohlberger may not be guilty after all. And then extending into all of the evidence that the defense has requested.
Someone says, sounds like this lady's been drinking wine. Are you talking about me? I don't even drink wine. I don't drink. I have lupus. I can't drink anything because it just basically puts me to sleep and makes me feel like shit. So, no. I wish it was back in the old days when I could have a couple glasses of wine, but nope, it's not. I knew all the trolls would come out tonight, and I just want to let you know you will always have a place here. And if you're looking for attention, if I'm in the right mood, I will give you attention. So just you can keep trying. It's all good. Just don't be too trolly. There's you guys moderators,
through 4 different motions and supplemental motions and amended motions from the state that so far, I guess we know that the state has not given them everything that they want, because they wouldn't continue to make these motions if they had everything that they had asked for. At some point, it would become redundant. It would become pointless. The court would be like, no, this isn't legitimate, and there would be an end put to it, because these are professionals at work that we are observing. Based on what we understand about the ethical and moral obligations of attorneys, it's not like Ann Taylor just made a wish list of everything she wished that she could have her hands on as far as evidence to prove her client's innocent, because that would be unethical. So all of these things that Ann Taylor has alluded to, or that she has requested from the state through motions, she must be doing so on a good faith basis. So in my opinion, where the waters start to get murky is like right here, because the state also has an ethical obligation, and they also just have an obligation by the letter of the law to do things in a certain way in pretrial proceedings. For example, when they present evidence to a grand jury, asking the grand jury to indict the suspect, in this case, obviously, that's Brian Koberger, the state or the prosecution also has an obligation to present any exculpatory evidence that they might have or they might be aware of. So this term, exculpatory evidence, is such a big term when it comes to a trial. It's an even bigger term when it comes to a trial of this magnitude, yet we are not clear about the status of any possible exculpatory evidence that might be out there, because we understand that Ann Taylor must be asserting that there is exculpatory evidence on a good faith basis, meaning she must have some indication that exculpatory evidence exists if she is in fact asking for it. Yet the prosecution also has an obligation to present any exculpatory evidence to a grand jury during their proceedings while they are convened. And as we know, that grand jury was convened and they indicted Brian Koberger. So based on legal ethical standards, that would mean the prosecution would have had to present any exculpatory evidence during the grand jury proceedings. If they provided exculpatory evidence to the grand jury, one could logically assume that a grand jury by supermajority would not then indict Brian Koberger, because they would have seen the exculpatory evidence that showed Brian Koberger's innocence or lack of guilt. And well, that's not what happened, because they indicted the man. Yet still, after that grand jury was convened and they indicted Brian Koberger, the defense is still asserting that the state has their hands in the defense's objection to the state's motion for an order of protection regarding that says, no matter what came first, the car or genetic genealogy, the investigation has provided precious little.
What? What? Ahem. Cool. Yeah, that video was created a while back. So there's that statement there. Okay. All right. What, honey? Whatever, that's fine. Wait, just 1 second. Our DoorDash got canceled. I think that's what the Washington State number was from. I should have maybe answered it. Just 1 second. Okay, problem solved. Okay. All right, guys. So let me read some of the comments here. Yeah, the second part of the video, it's just still downloading now. Yeah. Summer storms. I feel like there's always a storm during live streams. Well, not always, but I guess when there is one, I talk about it because occasionally that'll mean can't do it. All right. So yeah. Let's see. So I'm just gonna pick it up at a spot. Mm-mm. Thank you. Okay. It says DM is pretty tall. She probably said my height or slightly taller. Plus, she might not have known if he was on or off the step. Bethany Funk is pretty short, so she probably thought he was a giant, way over 6 foot. Well, Bethany Funk, I will tell you this at this point, did not see him in the same proximity or light or spatial situation that Dylan Mortensen did. So it's not like, Bethany Funk was in Dylan Mortensen's room and she also saw him from that perspective, but it just never said anything or wasn't the probable cause affidavit. And it's not like, this is also not the case, Bethany Funk did not come upstairs and see him. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. Sorry, wait. Okay, sorry. The DoorDash not delivering. Or yeah, was Yeah. Oh yeah, DoorDash. We just started getting DoorDash. Now I know how DoorDash works, but I didn't know when they started talking about this case. DoorDash not delivering our stuff. Or no, I don't know. They messed us up. Okay, anyway. And it's not like Bethany Funk came upstairs And then she saw Koberger in this case, well, the suspect, in a different room, but in the same way. I think I said in the preview for this, let me just go ahead and play that again in case you didn't catch it, so we can all be on the same page. I mentioned what a couple of the unique factors were, or factors that distinguished what Bethany saw and heard from what Dylan saw and heard. I mean, there's a lot of them, but.
In the documents obtained by Fox News, the subpoena demands one of the surviving roommates, Bethany Funk, appear in court in June to testify at Brian Koberger's preliminary hearing. This is not the roommate who witnessed a masked man in their home the morning 4 of her friends were murdered, but a second roommate who told police she was in the basement at the time and never went upstairs.
This is Kelly from What's the Obsession. Thanks for taking time to watch this video. Please click like and subscribe and hit the bell for future notifications. Since Brian Koberger's defense team filed the motion to compel Bethany Funk's testimony in a pretrial hearing on the basis that Bethany Funk was in possession of exculpatory evidence, the defense team has thrown around the word exculpatory rather liberally as compared to how it's used in other trial proceedings. And the rest of the world has wanted to know, what exactly is this exculpatory evidence that the defense claims Bethany Funk is in possession of? Although it is impossible to know for certain what this evidence may be, since everyone who is truly in the know is bound by a broad and strict gag order, What's the Obsession has a strong theory as to what this evidence is, and the sources are members of the university community. This video is going to explain to you what the exculpatory evidence we believe Bethany Funk has in her possession is exactly, based on the sources that are inside the university community, and we want to know what you think about this possible exculpatory evidence. What's the Obsession has learned from those within the university community that the exculpatory evidence that Bethany Funk has to do with her vantage point of being on the first floor of the 1122 King Road residence at the time of the tragedy.
A source close to the victims' families has told me that Bethany never, ever emerged from the basement room. Like, she never came upstairs. She left the home and was outside in the chaos in the front of the house, but never did go to that second floor, never did see the carnage. She wasn't part of the discovery of the bodies.
And I'll give it to Ashley Banfield. This time, what she said is exactly correct. Bethany Funk was on the first floor, and she remained on the first floor. Okay. Oops. Yeah. So we know that. So Bethany Funk was on the first floor. She was the only person on the first floor, and she remained on the first floor. That is from what I understand and what I believe based on all the things I've already said. And I don't want to keep repeating myself for those of you that are here for the duration. Yeah, she was on the first floor the whole time. So let's actually take a look at, I'm still waiting for that download to finish. It's only like a 15-minute little piece. Brings us right up to where we need to be. But it's just doing it slowly. So let's actually take a look at, I want to look at the exterior of the 1122 King Road house and kind of like that area around the house that would include where, according to the probable cause affidavit, Koberger or somebody that likes to drive around at night was driving a white Hyundai Elantra that did a total of 4 passes. And we know exactly where that car went to a certain degree based on the security cameras that we are privy to as the public. And also, as many people or a few people have mentioned, and I do believe this is absolutely correct, the PCA does align with the so-called leaked Linda Lane footage, and I'm talking video only. I put no stock into the audio of those videos because I know for a fact that people doctor the audios, try to make it more interesting, try to have it complement their WSU Kim stories, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, oh my God. Yeah. When the Linda Lane footage came out, there is one version of it. You know what? I wish that I might have it saved, but I didn't label like one from the other. I don't know. If I come across it, I promise you I'm going to post it, the original versus the WSU Kim in desperation to support WSU Kim campaign. It is so clear that the audio was fabricated to support the WSU Kim stuff. So yeah, pretty crazy. Oh yeah, my bag, it's in my wallet here. We're still working on replacing DoorDash. Sorry guys. So that is pretty funny here. Yeah. Give me just a moment, guys. Oh, is that my wallet? Here, give me it. Can't have my kid going through my wallet. Do you want to just give him cash? Okay. Ding, 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 ding. Here you go. Thanks. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, guys. So anyway, the PCA, the way it describes the white Hyundai Elantra moving about the neighborhood from what I believe is 328. Gosh, my brain functioning really decreases in the evening. It says I, who's apparently getting old. Was it 328? It was 329. Okay. So that's when they started seeing the movement of the white Hyundai Elantra in the 1122 Moscow King Road neighborhood. I understand that he left his Pullman apartment much earlier, around, what was it, 227. But that's when they started to see the car showing up on security camera footage in that neighborhood. The PCA description very well matches the Linda Lane footage if you turn off the audio, or if you happen to be watching the video that has the original audio, if it exists. Sometimes security cameras do not have audio. Everything fits the story. Oh gosh, I am so far behind, like time-wise here. I gotta scoot up. Angel D said, I get that feeling about Dylan Mortensen from her photos for some reason. So it was really nice to hear their description of Dylan Mortensen. Yeah, I saw that you had said that. That's interesting because I had noticed that I had just noticed, as I'm sure many of you did, there people were like seething for Dylan Mortensen. I don't know if it's she was a little taller. I mean, people have described her as being like heavy, or I mean, my God, not at all. She's very slender. She is taller. She has a different build than someone who is very short and petite, or short and more curvy like Kaylee. I mean, they're all different people. Like, what? Seriously, come on, guys. I feel as though all of the villainizing commentaries about Dylan Mortensen almost always were hand in hand with a distaste for her body type. Holy cow. Man, YouTube, we're a tough crowd, I guess, you know? Yeesh. But anyway, I had said, Jeannie had asked me through chat, and I don't know if you saw it, I responded and I pinned it, I think. She said, you know, do the guys from the from Sigma Chi say anything about any belief they may have or things that they have heard about either of the surviving roommates being involved. And my response to her was, you know, they absolutely do not think they were in any way involved. It's always been laughable. I asked them that straight out at some point when I got brave enough to. And, you know, they're just like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding. You know, they said they know both of those girls well. And this is what they have always said about Dylan Mortensen. And I also heard this from two other people, in addition to these two dudes, that she is like the nicest person you're ever going to meet. She's the nicest person. One person said she is the nicest person I know on this campus, that she is just very quiet. She's very sweet. Contrary to the impression I get that some people get from the pictures, you know, where they're just kind of all dressed, you know, salacious and they're going out. And, you know, this is what the young people do these days, you know. It just is. It just is. I recently posted some pictures from, you know, like my sorority things from when I was in college in a sorority, Delta. I graduated college in 2000. Well, I'm not going to tell you because there's those obsessed trolls, but it was very, very early. It was around the turn of the millennium. And we just like, you know, we wanted to be all sexy, you know, but we did have slightly, at least a little bit more clothes on than they did. It would have not been like acceptable to wear as few clothes as young women do these days, but things change over time. It also wasn't acceptable to wear bell-bottom pants, but when my mom was in school, it was. So, you know, it's just how it goes, right? Okay. Yeah. And so then they said that Bethany is just very, she loves her friends. She's just, she's nice too. It sounded like they knew Dylan better than Bethany, but you know, they're just normal, nice, kind of even reserved college girls as compared to Kelly, Maddie, and Xana. And I think we can get that impression a little bit from the videos and things and descriptions other people give. You know, they're all individuals and it's hard to, you know, just like pigeonhole them. Yeah, no naked guy. There is no naked guy. So many people are like the naked guy. Oh my God, it's so great. Let's see. Oh, thanks, guys. Thank all of you who are saying, "Oh, I love your channel." Things like that. I very much appreciate that. I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's very sweet of you to say, Daria. Okay, so here's an example of, hi, Bon, how are you doing? Here's an example of something that people will make a comment very similar to this, definitely the same spirit, using some similar words. And let me read the comment, and then I'm going to ask you the questions. And I would really like your input on this, because this to me is an example of how I was saying earlier, sometimes those like fiction files can get mixed into the fact files just because so much has been said and so little real stuff has been given to us because of the gag order. Sometimes my files even get mixed up and I have to like sit myself down and straighten them up, because we just can't have that as a creator. If I, was just like viewing this stuff, I'd be like, my files are mixed up and it's awesome. But, I just can't do it. I have to be more responsible. But anyway, hi, Bon. Bon says, they tore that car apart and they check for chemicals. No explanation for the total lack of DNA in a vehicle. Now, if there truly is no trace of anything in his vehicle connected to the victims, I that's freaking weird in my mind. Several moons ago, well, maybe 2 moons ago, I think it was about 2 months ago. I think, Jeannie, you were here, right? Some of you were here. and one of our longtime channel community members and subscribers. You may have seen her around other true crime channels. She's awesome. Her name's Honey Bun. Her uncle is a retired detective, and he was gracious enough to answer some questions that we had. And the first question that was asked was by myself, because I was really rude and jumped ahead of line because I was dying to ask somebody in law enforcement this question. What is the probability if dude did it on his own? What is the probability? Do you even think it's possible that he left that crime scene without tracking DNA and other things from the victims in the house into his car? Because I really didn't even know if it was possible. I was kind of thinking it probably wasn't. You know, we know the crime theories, the investigative theories that tell us essentially when you interact with something, you leave some of yourself behind, and it leaves with you some of itself, including a crime scene. And this is proven to be true and true time again. It's not just unique to the investigation of crime scenes. It is a principle of the universe in which we live. You know, that's how things go. Nothing is independent without interacting with everything around it, right? So I didn't even think it was going to be possible. He thought it was. But the question I ask you guys now is, did they tear the car apart? Like when you're saying, and I don't mean to be I don't mean to be picking on you or anything, Bon. This is a great comment to ask these questions. Like you said, they tore that car apart. So when you say tore, do you literally mean tore? And if so, do we know that to be true? And if so, what is the source that tells us like that happened? And it's not that you're not good enough, but again, this is just an example of how I really want to get down to the facts, bare bones facts. And then we can fill it in with speculation, but I would love to know. I'd love to take away all of the not fact and see what we have there. And then no explanation for the total lack of DNA in a vehicle. So do we know that there was total lack of DNA? And then the next question, which is not part of your comment, but I'm going to ask it anyway, is, one of the famous lines, or a couple of lines in the Chronicles of Ann Taylor defending Bryan Kohberger when he was up against Idaho, is that there was no evidence from the victims in Bryan Kohberger's apartment, car, office, or house. Now, that is one of her statements in a court document, that although she does have to make these statements and file these documents on a good faith basis, I think she was pushing it there, and I think she knew it. I don't think that she knew at that time that there was no evidence of any trace of the victims in any of those 4 locations. And I do not believe that would be possible if he committed this crime. So I believe, because the evidence to me has said it's pointing in the direction of he did commit this crime. Troll around and dance. It's all good. Get mad, throw tomatoes or stones. It's okay, but don't break your computer, please, because they're expensive sometimes, unless you really want a new one. But then make sure you have the money for it, or somebody does. If there was evidence that showed it was somebody else, I don't care if it's Bryan Kohberger or somebody else, but I do care that the victims receive justice, that the families receive whatever they can get that will help them to become more whole again than they are right now. And if it's not Bryan Kohberger, then my God, I really hope that they work that out in the court system and the man is allowed to go be free, do as he wishes again, like we all should be. But if he is guilty, he is in the right place. And, I hope the law takes good care of him as far as helping him pay his debt to society, because it is a big debt for whoever took the lives of those, vibrant, beautiful young people who so many people loved and cared about, just their families, and took the heart and soul from the families all together. It was not his or whose ever to take, and he stole something precious from the world, and the debt that person owes to society is immense. And I hope that is how it weighs in the final analysis. There we go. Oh, good. The other part of the video has finished uploading. It's just going to take me a moment to... Now I got to put it on. It's just going to take me about a minute here. So... Do I have something interesting to play for you in that minute? I feel like I always have to fill in every moment of time here. Welcome to everybody who just came in. Come on in. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, it ends up being a long day. That not expected kind of heavy meeting was weird right before the live stream for my job. Crisis management. I worry about the kids I work with. It stresses me out. All right. If they're dressed the same, that's even more boring. Right, I know. Oh my God, that would be so boring. I wonder if they do. No, I don't think they, no, and I've seen them on video, they're not dressed the same. But college guys look similar enough anyway. Yeah, super boring. Yeah, the explanation could be that he was covered or his clothes changed if there's no DNA found. Yeah, and again, and hey, Double R, how you doing? That's exactly what Honey Bun's uncle said. And as hard as it is to believe, apparently that's, I guess, what's up, Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Jennifer, I'm going to mess up your last name, so I'll just call you Jennifer W. Welcome. How are you doing? Jennifer says, he did study criminology. He seems pretty methodical. There we go. I think he planned it, but no license plate, having a PA license. He probably studied how to get caught. I was thinking about this a lot earlier because I saw that Harsh Reality had a video. It popped up in my autoplay today. I like Harsh Reality. I always agree with Harsh Reality, but I like Harsh Reality. Yeah, I think he's a good guy. I like his stuff. So the question was, and the way it was kind of asked was, so if you are one of those people who believes Brian Koberger is guilty, he got in his car, his very own car, to drive from a non-DP state 9 miles to a DP state so he could get caught on 37 cameras along the way or whatever, and was being very sarcastic about it. Well, I don't think that he took those steps for the purpose of doing those things, but I think he took those steps without, I don't think it's like he didn't think about how he could get caught, guys. I think Brian Koberger's personality profile, with what I have it as right now, without ever meeting him or doing an evaluation with him or anything like that. So it's just based on, the things that I can add into the equation right now. I absolutely 100% am convinced he was 100 million % convinced that he was above it, that he just would not get caught. It wasn't even an option for him. It was not even an option. And when you can have that kind of grandiose sense of self transfer into that level of grandiose, unfounded confidence, Well, first of all, you might look like you made this really stupid mistake, like it looks like he did. But you also might be able to do things, think things, do things, plan things, know in your heart and mind that you have done things and still live with yourself, that the vast, 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 overwhelming majority of us could not, because if you can conjure up that much grandiose confidence, you will necessarily not have nearly the level of like healthy anxiety or fear or uncertainty or trepidation or doubt that, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, that a healthy person and mind would have. Does that make sense? So when harsh reality is asking, I'm sorry, the bottom line question was, why did he do it? Like, if he was the one that committed his murders, why? Why would he do it? Why would he do all those stupid things? Go from this day to that day. Why is not, something that we can, talk about here in a sort of, I don't know, in an analyzing, cerebral, or even, social, conversational context. And really, like, we can't hit it on the nose, because his why was not a why as near you would see it. Like, my why is my reason why I am doing this or why I am not doing it. His why was because there is something about, this is what I believe, there is something about Bryan Kohberger that is different from the vast majority of people, but that is very similar to the vast minority of people in our society who fall into the extreme extreme pathology and whatever category pigeonhole, I guess. I was going to say category. That wouldn't make any sense. I don't think we can rationalize his why. Bryan Kohberger just thought he was like Superman. This is what he was going to do. I think he felt like the world owed it to him. He wants to do this. He's been treated like shit. Women have treated him like shit. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to see, there's a new podcast out. I believe it's a Fox News podcast, and it is narrated by Nancy Grace, and it's, in my opinion, it's very well done. We were talking about this on the last live stream as well, and they talked to some of his former educators, in his district high school, and then to a career and technical education school that he went to as well. And they talk about how he was kicked out of the security program for the way he treated women, and he got put into the HVAC program because there was no women in there. And there were a lot of issues with Kohberger, specifically with women, and in my opinion, an expression of clear disgust and contempt for women. And there was also a very strong pattern of waffling through life without follow through. That is going to be a person who is like borderline personality, sociopath, headed towards psychopath, or something like that. I don't know exactly what, but those are like sometimes the main options. So Bryan Kohberger's why? Because that's like, Bryan Kohberger was going to do that because it just sometimes is like this. A person knows that they're a murderer, that they're a serial killer. That's who they are. And they know that part of themselves well. And it needs to be realized, or it's very uncomfortable for them. It's crazy, right? But I just think that's that simple. All right. You know what? I'm going to put the link to chat up if anyone does want to come and say something really quick. And then we're going to get through just like the rest of this and bada boom, bada bang and talk about it. There's a link to chat. And let me get this other video ready for you guys. Yeah, I have to upload it to YouTube first, or it won't play the audio. So weird. StreamYard and YouTube. Hey, I got an idea for you guys. StreamYard, YouTube, come on in, get comfortable. why don't you guys talk to each other and make your systems work in tandem with one another or sync in some regard? That would be amazing. It would be like appreciated by myself and so many people. And StreamYard, it would probably mean you would lose less customers. It would be good for you. Maybe you should call YouTube. You can do it. Come on, let's do this. It's frustrating. Oh, StreamYard, stop being so immature about that. Just call it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going too far with it now. But really, YouTube and StreamYard don't work together as nicely as one would believe or hope. That's for sure. All right. Sorry, I'm just putting this in. I cannot multitask. Let me just make sure no one's backstage. Nope. All right, give me a moment. So, Cece Moore's awesome. I like her. Do you guys like Cece Moore? What do you guys think of Gabrielle Vargas? What do you think of her? Curious. Oh, who asked about Ethan's curfew last time? Was that I can't remember. One of you asked about that, and I told you I was going to get better detail, but the feedback I got was it was exactly what we discussed last night. So that was correct. So you got your full answer. Okay. Hopefully now I can just breeze through this. I'm just putting it up so we can watch it. How's everyone doing? I'm asking a question. I can't even see if anyone's answering to, but I will look when I'm done. No, I don't need an end screen either. Why am I doing that? Because I'm used to it. Okay, just cover it now. Oh, shoot. I have a couple more minutes to process. What? All right. This is crazy. Oh. Why YouTube? Why StreamYard? Why? I think YouTube and StreamYard owe me a debt to. I'm just kidding. I was going to go along the lines of I was just talking about Brian Koberger, but I don't want you to think I'm all really Brian Koberger-ish. Is there anybody out there who, are there any teachers here? Anyone that works in schools? I work in a school. Well, it's like it follows a school schedule. I wish I could tell you guys more, but there was a true crime creator once who really meddled in my life. He's just not right, and was like a little bit obsessed, not with Watts, but with me and my moderators and this channel. And it was really weird, and he got very real lifey. Oh God, that was terrible. So I just have to be careful about what I say now as far as details, or I share a lot more with you. Maybe it's not wise to do that anyways, but when I cut myself off abruptly when I'm talking about my work or something, that is literally always why. Okay. Okay, we're almost there. Oh, is it ready? Please be ready. Please be ready. Oh, it is. Yay. Okay, good. That's awesome. All right. Here we go. I'm surprised by that. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, StreamYard. I still meant what I said, though. Oh, there's Jeannie. Oh, let me bring Jeannie up, though. Ding, 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 ding. Welcome, Jeannie. And remember, guys, if you have a question, ask Jeannie because she knows everything. How are you, sweetheart?
Hey, love. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What's up?
There were a couple people in the chat that wanted to know if you could replay the video from earlier. It kind of cut in and out a little.
It did?
Yeah, it did. The audio did. Even people that were watching when it happened, it cut out for me too. And so it's kind of, yeah, it kind of
Okay.
cut out, and so people really didn't understand what you were trying to say about the exculpatory evidence. So they kept asking, like, what was the answer? What was the answer? So
I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it was doing that. How's the audio now?
it's good now. It's good now.
You know
I just
why?
thought
I know exactly why, and I shouldn't have done it. I went into my video editing program to download that. I know exactly why I did that. I'm sorry, guys. I just didn't think about it. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry about that. So listen, the video that I played earlier is already uploaded on my channel, and I'm gonna get the title of it, and I will post it in chat so you can watch it whenever you would like. I'm not gonna be able to play it again during this live stream though, because I'm gonna run out of time. But it's on the channel and you can watch it all you want. Okay. I'm sorry that happened and I didn't catch it. Darn it. Oh, well. Sorry, guys.
the people had a question. Were you basically saying that what the exculpatory evidence was that she never came out of her downstairs? Well, she never came out of the downstairs. Was that it?
Well, it's true that she never came out of the downstairs, but that's not the evidence.
Okay.
But the exculpatory evidence that makes it unique to her experience, what she heard and saw, was from her perspective as being on the first floor, being the only person on the first floor, and remaining in the entirety of the duration of time when shit was going down on the first floor.
And the car would have been on the first floor.
Well, we haven't talked about that yet, Jeannie. We have not talked about that yet, Jeannie. Don't let any cats out of bags.
Damn.
Actually, the car is parked in a place that doesn't exactly describe it, but we're going to go over that. But yeah, so yep, something like that. Yeah, so
I didn't know you had a secret. I'm sorry.
Well, that wasn't the secret, but no, I don't know. So, well, here, let me start playing this video because I'm trying to build the steps. So the logic thinks with the minds of our community. And all of your chakras will be in perfect alignment and you'll glow purple. Okay, I'm losing my mind. Here we go. It's called Brian Koberger Playbook. Okay. That's the video we watched earlier. And Jeannie, grab me right away if this goes like in and out. I'm going to close the rest of the programs on my computer. But let me know.
Okay.
Hey, honey. What are you doing? Oh, okay.
Did you get any?
What the heck? I just my brain just stopped working for a moment. Okay, here we go. What? Oh, darn it. Hold it. Wait. I want this to be private. Hold it. I've got to make it private. I accidentally made it public again. Because it's not like the end of it isn't refined because I ran out of time. Okay, there we go. Bye. Whoops. You want to see that? You want to see something different though? Wait a minute. So we'll click through there and then share this instead and make it big. Okay. Where's that? There's
one of the survivors. In the documents obtained by Fox News, the subpoena demands one of the surviving roommates, Bethany Funk, appear in court in June to testify at Brian Koberger's preliminary hearing. This is not the roommate who witnessed a masked man in their home the morning 4 of her friends were murdered, but a second roommate who told...
Dude, it downloaded really slow in the wrong format, so we're only seeing part of the screen. That has never happened before, and I just looked and I put the right format. What is going on? Oh, man. Mother fricker. Let me see here. Why can't we see the whole damn thing? I'm having a moment, guys. Just 1 second.
Police, she was in the basement at...
That sucks. Now I'm mad at you again, you too. We obviously have an abusive, dysfunctional relationship. Come on. Yeah, I see. Necessary evil. I'll go pin it. Says it was supposed to be 1M and it ended up into like that whole shit show. I kind of sort of thinking that's. I've always kind of thought that's probably the case. I'm not 100% sold on it, but it makes sense. Killing me. Come on. I really love YouTube so much. All right. Okay, get rid of all that crap.
At the time and never.
Oh, hey, Jeannie. Are you still there?
Yes, ma'am.
So did you have any other questions or take anything in particular out of, what we've been discussing or has been discussed in chat thus far?
Well, I did.
Okay.
You've got a lot of people in your chat, girl. You've got 500 people in your chat.
Welcome.
Yes, I did.
Thank you for moderating.
Yeah, right. No, I did. The main theories in the chat, because you brought up Bethany Funk, obviously there have been a lot of people wanting to talk about Bethany and Dylan, and if they have any, if they have any liability in this, which, someone brought something up the other night, and I don't know who it was, but I brought it up again. We don't question Travis Alexander's roommates.
Right.
They were in his house with his unalived body for 7 days, and nobody said anything to them because,
dude, my God, and just like, guys, seriously, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be. The obvious thing is the smell must have knocked over, the people in the grocery store across town,
right?
How did they not know?
I mean, 7 days, and no one goes after. No one goes after them because they were good Mormon boys, right?
That's right.
These girls are attackable. You put it out there earlier. It's because of the way they look. They are attackable. Right. And so that's been a lot of it in the chat. There has been a lot of people out supporting them. I know that Jody is Cool has always supported the roommates.
Yes, she
always
has.
And anaphylaxis. A lot of people have always supported the roommates, but there have been a lot of people that just that think they were cleared too early. They obviously question the timeline. Anytime Bethany or Dylan are brought up, that's everything that comes up again. All of it.
Yeah.
The other thing is that some people, want to discuss whether Ann Taylor is brilliant or ridiculous. So those are the theories.
Okay, well, I mean, she's doing her job, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have an opinion on that. My opinion, I have had an opinion going one way or the other certain points, but then the conclusion I've come to is I just think she's doing her job right now. But she's under a lot of pressure. She knows she's under a microscope. And I think she's trying to do her job. I think she's trying to do it with extra special sauce because she knows the world is watching. Does she have the extra special sauce recipe or not? It is yet to be determined.
Well, there is one person in the chat, Nancy. I hope I don't say your last name wrong. It's CSORA.
Yeah.
She's been asking a lot how Brian knew that Bethany had exculpatory evidence. And I wanted to explain to her, I hope that she got this, that it wouldn't be Brian. It would be his lawyers, first of all, because he's not running strategy at all. He's probably barely getting 15 to 20-minute meetings. He's not getting a lot of time with them. I'm sure they're running a lot of strategy.
Don't let the spiffy suit fool ya.
Exactly. I mean, even though he's got a nice suit and he's got broad shoulders, they're not hanging out with him a lot. So if you need evidence of that, you can go you can research Sarah Boone. She'll tell you how much you don't talk to your attorney.
That's right.
So, but also, but it is a question. Why is Ann Taylor asking for Bethany Funk's exculpatory evidence? So there you go.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you why I think it is. And it'll make me, I was going to say this after we watch the whole thing, but I don't know. Maybe it'll
Well,
be good.
go ahead.
now,
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I think that what I think she was going for was for Bethany Funk's testimony during the dress rehearsal, prior to the real showdown, because I think, now remember, at the time when they filed the motion to compel Bethany Funk's testimony at the pretrial hearing,
Right.
Brian Koberger had not yet submitted a statement of alibi. They didn't know if he was going to, according to them. Nobody knew if he was going to. The deadline was quickly approaching. People were like, where the hell is this man's alibi? It's super weird, not normal that there's no alibi or anything like that yet.
Yeah.
I personally think that Ann Taylor kind of felt like a way that I and others do, that Brian Koberger maybe didn't have an alibi. Oh, shit. Or, we're going to have to create some somewhat vague alibi because, oh, geez, okay. Well, I guess this is why I do it as a defense attorney, right?
Yeah.
So I think she was like, well, I'm going to manufacture the best possible alibi I can, God damn it. And she didn't know there were certain variables that she did not know certainties about that happened that night. And she's smart. She is a smart woman. She's been lawyering. So she's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, this is a pretty sweet alibi. But if I put that out there and that Bethany girl actually saw this, well, then, yeah, it is DP for him and like the unemployment line for me. I mean, not really, but, she wants him in the case, of course, right?
Sure.
So I really think that's what it's about. I think that she was like, I think at that point in time, I believe from her perspective and from my perspective as an outsider, as I was watching this, given the information I can see, thank you, Judge, was that the case was pretty wishy-washy for them. It wasn't shaping up in one clear direction. And she's like, the best thing would be to have a solid alibi. Isn't it always? That is the number one optimal, most desired defense if you're charged with a crime. And she wanted it, but she knew she couldn't even put it out there. She didn't know if they could have it at all during the entire course of the trial because there were too many variables out there. And she needed to know what that girl saw. She wanted her testimony. And then, probably even further, she got really ambitious and thought, you know what? Well, I'm going to put her up on the stand and I'm going to impeach her on the stand. It's going to be amazing.
She didn't know what she didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
You said it in like 4 words and I said it in 4,000.
No, I'm just trying to make sure I wanted to make sure I understood you. Well, and also this happened before they did the secret grand jury. Remember, she was trying to pull.
Oh yeah, well, the secret grand jury was, I think, as a result of, oh crap, the defense is asking for all these sparkly things at the pretrial hearing. Now let's go underground.
Right. Let's go do a runaround. Let's do a secret grand jury because we don't want to do a pretrial hearing that the whole world can see. We definitely don't want Bethany Funk to have to take the stand because, to be truthful, she's been traumatized. And sitting across from Brian Koberger, whether she saw him that night or not, you certainly know she knows he's the defendant now.
Yeah.
And to have her on the stand that early, yeah. So I'm certain they did the grand jury as a way to stop that from happening. But
yeah, absolutely. And Bethany Funk is the one person that I was talking about earlier that nobody, as far as I know, at least from the feedback I've gotten from the students that were very close to all of them, has seen or heard from her since this happened, and they've been saying all along that she ghosted immediately and has remained a ghost. No one knows where she is, how to get a hold of her. People have tried. She is off the grid. And I think that she is a very injured young girl right now that may never get over the trauma that she has experienced. Like I keep this, like trauma it's really hard to get over. Once that you're burnt by trauma, it's not, she's never gonna be the same. I feel bad for her.
I agree.
What's that, honey? Who was that?
First contact.
Okay, yeah.
My first contact.
Pizza? The Pizza Hut. Oh, God. Gosh, we can't miss another call. Hold it just 1 second, Jane. Oh, wait, here, I'm going to start playing this. Dude, when did they call? They called a long time ago. Let me try to call. Just a second.
Did she really leave me to entertain you all? I think she did.
I did. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're cool.
Okay, then. Song and a dance it is. Anybody got questions?
Okay, never mind. Sorry. My son's pissed. All right. Okay, let's watch this. Okay. We just got dissed by DoorDash and Pizza Hut delivery boy. I don't know why my front light is on. The front of my house is white and it's big and there's numbers. You know, it's like, what's wrong? Why can't you make it here, people? Come on, you've all been here before. All right, anyway. My son's mad. Makes me anxious. Okay, here we go.
The subpoena demands one of the surviving roommates, Bethany Funk, appear in court in June to testify at Brian Kohberger's preliminary hearing. This is not the roommate who witnessed a masked man in their home the morning 4 of her friends were murdered.
Is the audio okay, Jeannie?
Yes.
But a second roommate who told police she was in the basement at the time and never went upstairs.
This is Kelly from What's the Obsession. Thanks for taking time to watch this video. Please. But seriously, how many times have we heard me say that today? Okay, go ahead. Since Brian Kohberger's defense team filed the motion to compel Bethany Funk's testimony in a pretrial hearing on the basis that Bethany Funk was in possession of exculpatory evidence, the defense team has thrown around the word exculpatory rather liberally as compared to how it's used in other trial proceedings. And the rest of the world has wanted to know, what exactly is this exculpatory evidence that the defense claims Bethany Funk is in possession of? Although it is impossible to know for certain what this evidence may be, since everyone who is truly in the know is bound by a broad and strict gag order, What's the Obsession has a strong theory as to what this evidence is, and the sources are members of the university community. This video is going to explain to you what the exculpatory evidence we believe Bethany Funk has in her possession is exactly, based on the sources that are inside the university community, and we want to know what you think about this possible exculpatory evidence. What's the Obsession has learned from those within the university community that the exculpatory evidence that Bethany Funk has to do with her vantage point of being on the first floor of the 1122 King Road residence at the time of the tragedy.
A source close to the victims' families has told me that Bethany never, ever emerged from the basement room. Like, she never came upstairs. She left the home and was outside in the chaos in the front of the house, but never did go to that second floor, never did see the carnage. She wasn't part of the discovery of the bodies.
And I'll give it to Ashley Banfield. This time, what she said is exactly correct. Bethany Funk was... I hear you guys, I see you guys in chat talking about if she heard something. She didn't hear anything. That was not the sense of sight that was a unique experience to Bethany Funk that could possibly be exculpatory. It is what she saw. Details in a minute. Was on the first floor, and she remained on the first floor. Before we go any further into the exculpatory evidence that Bethany Funk might be in possession of, let's take a look at what is said in the PCA regarding Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk. It's important to know what Dylan Mortensen said exactly in the probable cause affidavit, because Bethany Funk's possible exculpatory evidence has very much to do with and is connected to Dylan Mortensen's statements in the PCA. As part of the investigation, numerous interviews were conducted by Moscow Police Department officers, Idaho State Police detectives, and FBI agents. Two of the interviews include BF, Bethany, and DM, Dylan.
Both BF and DM were inside the King Road residence at the time of the homicides and were roommates to the victims. BF's bedroom was located on the east side of the first floor of the King Road residence. Based on numerous interviews conducted by MPD officers, ISP detectives, and FBI agents, as well as my review of evidence, I have learned the following. On the evening of November 12th, 2022, Chapin and Kernodle are seen by BF at the Sigma Chi house on the University of Idaho campus at 735 Nez Perce Drive from approximately 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 a.m. on November 13th.
And guys, that's confirmed by a lot of people. They were there that entire time. Ethan and Xana were together some of the time. Some of the time Xana was with her girlfriend. Some of the time Ethan was with one of the guys that I speak to, who is his fraternity brother, almost the entire time. And they were definitely there the entire time. I feel bazillion% certain of that. Like what Bethany Funk testified to in the PCA as far as being with them or the time frame which they were there and then returned sounds spot on.
BF also
Kelly,
estimated.
Kelly,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
stuttering.
What's that? Yeah.
That's stuttering.
It's stuttering.
The video is stuttering. Yes.
All right, let me
Just
shut
letting you
everything
know.
else. Thank you. Nice. All right, just
Welcome.
let me shut everything else. Thank you. Shut. Oh, I know why. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Okay, just one second. I got shut down. Really big program here. I just make mistakes. I'm a human being. I'm so sorry, people. All right, just a minute.
We love you anyway.
Thank you. Some people don't, Jeannie.
That's why we make them disappear.
Shh, don't say that out loud, Jeannie. I think people are listening.
Oh, right. All 500 of them.
No,
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't say that.
What you heard didn't really happen. Okay, never mind.
No.
Okay, here we go. Let me shut this program down. You know what? I'm going to Control Alt Delete you because you're taking too long. I want to get to the point already. I know some people are like, it's taking so long. Damn, I'm like on record time now, people. You should be here some other time. Woo! My strength is like edited videos that I upload before anybody watches them. Then I can work out all the kinks. But, you know, live streams are live. Okay, here we go. Please don't stutter. All right, let's see.
That at approximately 1:45 a.m., Chapin and Kernodle returned to the King Road residence. BF also stated that Chapin did not live in the King Road residence, but was a guest of Kernodle. Roommates Dylan and Bethany both made statements during interviews that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were home by 2 a.m. and asleep, or at least in their rooms by approximately 4 a.m. DM stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second floor. DM stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Gonsalves playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the third floor. A short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Gonsalves say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." A review of records obtained from a forensic download of Kernodle's phone showed this could have also been Kernodle, as her cellular phone indicated she was likely awake and using TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. DM Dylan Mortensen stated she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. DM stated she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Kernodle's room. Oh, God. DM then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, quote, "It's okay, I'm going to help you," end quote. At approximately 4:17 a.m., A security camera located at 1112 King Road, a resident immediately to the northwest of 1122 King Road, picked up a distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Cornotto's bedroom. DM stated she opened her door for the third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. DM described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past DM as she stood in a frozen shock phase. That's a quote. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. Dylan Mortensen locked herself in her room after seeing the male. Dylan Mortensen did not state that she recognized the male. This leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene. The combination of Dylan Mortensen's statements to law enforcement, reviews of forensic downloads of records from Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen's phones, and video of a suspect video as described below leads investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. Okay, everybody, so let's start to hone in on the exculpatory evidence that Bethany Funk is in possession of, according to our source-informed theory. Now, although the probable cause affidavit did not say much about Bethany Funk's testimony other than to say where she was that evening and that she was with Ethan and Xana from 9 p.m. to 1:45 a.m. at the Sigma Chi house, what Bethany Funk had to contribute to the investigation was critical because the investigators say that they honed in on the time frame, the 25-minute window of time during which the tragedies occurred due to these three factors. Number one, Dylan Mortensen's statements to investigators. Number two, forensic downloads of Dylan and Bethany's phones. And number three, the video of the car in the area that appeared unusual, considering we know a decent amount about Dylan Mortensen's statements to the investigators through the probable cause affidavit, and we know a decent amount. So I'm outlining all of this again in this context as we're talking about this topic, guys, because if you're, just following the timeline, the facts we know, the gaps of information we do not know, things start to make a lot of sense when you put in the puzzle pieces. About the surveillance video of the white, or at least they make some sense, white Hyundai Elantra in the 1122 King Road area that appeared unusual. The only one of these three factors that we really know nothing about is the forensic download of Dylan and Bethany's phones. And we know that Dylan Mortensen was awake around the time that the tragedy occurred due to her statements in the probable cause affidavit and the timeline that's been provided by authorities. What we have not known is if Bethany Funk was awake around that time or not, and if she was active on her phone, if she was up and aware of what was going on, or if she was just in the house and she was asleep. Since only Dylan Mortensen's testimony appears in the probable cause affidavit regarding what she heard and saw around the time of the tragedy, it might lead one to believe that Bethany Funk was downstairs and sound asleep and she didn't hear or see anything at all. Now, if that were the case, then we would know that Brian Koberger's defense's assertions that Bethany Funk was in possession
According
of
to the court documents,
exculpatory
Koberger's defense team says
would be
she has,
absolutely
quote,
bogus. It couldn't
information
possibly be
unique to
true.
her
How could somebody
experiences
have
and can
Those weren't supposed to overlap, sorry. Obviously. I make mistakes, people. I know. Some people are like, this channel's a mess. I mean, sometimes I'm a mess. Sometimes my channel's a mess. Sometimes my house is a mess.
not be
Evidence when they
provided
were
by
sound
another
asleep.
But usually not.
At the
witness.
time that they were
Funk
supposed
is
to be
fighting the subpoena.
gathering
Her attorney
evidence.
filed a motion
Even to
saying
say, as
even
the
if her
defense
client
team
has
did,
a campus
yet
home
they
last
Someone really
find
did
that.
that.
Must be the
Okay.
emotion.
So what I was saying that's important. Wait just a sec. I gotta get drunk. Wait, listen to this.
And out of nowhere,
and
that they knew would
Koberger still
shock
has not
everybody,
entered a plea in this
compelling
case,
her
but
Dude, I overlapped the whole thing. Just 1 second. Dude, you didn't hear anything I was saying just now? Did anyone hear anything I was just saying? Gosh darn it, man. What is going on?
Not a thing, child.
When's the last time you heard me speaketh?
Your video was playing, and when you shut it off to do something else, that was the last thing we heard.
Oh, well, the thing right after that was I see y'all in chat being like, oh, she's such a mess. It's a mess. I'm like, obviously, sometimes I'm a mess. Sometimes my house is a mess. Sometimes, but usually not. So like, stop, get over it, whatever. So this is what's going on here. So Ann Taylor and the state's attorneys can only, file motions, include in motions or any court document statements written by themselves or by others if they are knowingly including them in their documents. And if they are the head attorney, they better knowingly be including everything that's included in the documents. There is that standard of the good faith basis. So if we, I have to go back and hear what I said now because I'm getting tired. I can't remember. Just one second. I'm going to explain. That the tragedy occurred due to her statements in the probable cause affidavit and the timeline that's been provided by authorities. What we have not known is if Bethany Funk was awake around that time. Right. Okay. I got it. So we don't know. We have not known. People have been asking the question. I've seen it asked in a lot of places and many times over. What was Bethany Funk doing? Was she awake? Was she sleeping? I think she was sleeping. I think she was awake. I think she was on coke. I think she was drinking chamomile tea, like everything, right? So, but we didn't know. We don't know. But now we kind of maybe do know. Like, even if it wasn't for students at the university knowing a lot more than we do because they're like, oh my God, stupid true crime fans. All you have to do is shut up. And sometimes information is just heard. So I'm just kidding. I didn't really call any of us stupid. We're not. So if the defense thought that Bethany was asleep or even thought that she could have been asleep, they better dare not in April file a motion compelling her testimony, which is that's a thing, it's like we are compelling. They know she's reluctant. They must know she's traumatized. I'm sure they know she has nothing to do with it. We're still going to compel the statement. They knew absolutely 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt that she was not sleeping that whole time, or there is no way that Ann Taylor, in good faith, could file that motion to compel. And if she did, and she actually was, she was like, oh, well, she was sleeping all the time. Look at, here's her, like, I don't know. We have her under the little baby sleep camera or something. I don't know. She could be sanctioned by the court because you can't just do that. You don't just throw shit at the wall and hope that it cleans the wall, or I don't know. There's no analogy there, really. You can't just put everything in addition to the kitchen sink into your court documents. Get it? Does that make sense, Jeannie?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we know she was awake, and I put out a video, I don't know, about 2 months ago, and we also, in my opinion, and again, I can't state this as a fact, and I'm not trying to, but based on everything we know, plus hearing from and listening to a number of different sources, Dylan Mortensen contacted all of the roommates in that house when, they think weird shit was going on. She was hearing Kaylee playing with the dog and Xana crying, and someone's like, don't worry, I'll help you, and whatever else she heard that we don't know about. She contacted all of the roommates, and there was correspondence between her and Bethany Funk. Got it? So that is something that I believe that we know. I know, we know, we've known that for a while. So now building on that. So now we have this. I got to change this picture because this just doesn't make any sense. But I think I screwed up all the audio. Let me see.
The door, Idaho State Police spokesperson.
Their case with that could.
Taylor wants to be putting her license to practice law on the line. That must
be the case.
Yeah, she's not doing that. So, okay.
And newly unveiled court filings are shedding light on how the defense team for Brian Kohberger is trying to play things out. In the filings, his defense asserts that a surviving housemate has exculpatory evidence, information that could be.
Okay, so now I'm like, you know what? Maybe she does. Well, then I'm like, well, maybe she, I don't know, exculpatory is a big word. Oh man, remember how scary that was when I was in law school and didn't know what it meant? No, and then, but I don't know. I don't know. I like really don't know about exculpatory, but at this point, we know she was awake. We know she was cognizant. In my opinion, we know that she was communicating with Dylan. We know that Dylan was alarmed. So we can only surmise that if Dylan and Bethany were communicating, Dylan did not neglect to mention the number of really fucking weird things that were going on almost like right at the same time that caused her to frozen shock phase or whatever.
She could have just said to her, just in general, hey, I heard something outside or heard a noise. Is everything okay? Could have just said, hey, what's going on? You all right? Or I heard something. Who knows what kind of girl she is or what she says to her friends? I don't know. She could have, been a drunken fool and, stuttered over her words. We don't know. But yes, she called her. So maybe that's it.
Okay, she could have, yes. But I believe that there was more to it than that. And I'm going to share one of the main reasons that is one of the linchpins in a second, but I just want to get through this because it's setting up.
Be favorable to Kohberger. One of the two survivors was named in a Nevada court filing, and she allegedly heard or saw something that could clear Kohberger. That is according to the defense. Kohberger's team is now asking the court to require that she testify at a scheduled preliminary hearing in June, as they hope to challenge the probable cause used to justify his arrest. But legal experts say prosecutors can sidestep the defense's attempts to disprove probable cause by seeking a grand jury indictment behind closed doors. While prosecutors would be ethically bound to disclose potentially exculpatory evidence, they would be able to present their case without subjecting any witnesses to cross-examination.
Ding, 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 ding. And that's exactly what the defense wants. So she is saying, well, one of the advantages of the state to convene the secret grand jury is they are not going to have to put any witnesses on the stand before the trial because the state don't want that. They're holding their cards tight. And Kohberger and her homeboys and girls and short girls, bald boys, that's like what I see of them, wants to get those most controversial witnesses, or guys, the witness or witnesses with the most compelling evidence on the stand in the pretrial phase, if not a deposition, so they know everything that's out there and can also have the possibility of impeaching their testimony when they cross-examine. This is just legal strategy. I feel pretty clear that's what she's doing. What's the obsession? Legal counsel agrees. Well, I mean, we had that discussion. I think he can probably imagine there's other possibilities because he's a skilled lawyer and I am not. Okay.
Before a trial, Kohberger faces 4 counts of first-degree murder and another for felony burglary. Again, for now, a preliminary hearing is scheduled for June 26th.
Earlier today, this afternoon, I did notice the back sliding door to the house was opened at one point today. Now, we could see red markings stuck to the frame of the door. Idaho State Police spokesperson Aaron Snell told me this afternoon it was believed that the potential suspect came through the sliding glass door. But again, there appeared to be no signs of forced entry.
Now know from the probable cause affidavit is many people believe that the suspect walked out of the sliding glass door because of Dylan Mortenson's testimony. And as far as I know, nobody is really sure where the suspect entered 1122 King Road. He could have entered through the front door, through the sliding glass door, any of the other entry points in the house, some of course making much more sense than others. Okay, before getting into what Bethany Funk's exculpatory evidence likely is in our source-based theory, let's take a look at a visual map of where Brian Kohberger's car was known to be traveling in the 1122 King Road neighborhood prior to when he parked at an unknown location, because there was not, to our knowledge, not to the public's knowledge, any security camera that caught his car parking or caught where exactly his car was parked. But we're going to explain to you why we strongly think. Okay, so you know that's about what I'm going to say about that. So there's a house right there, okay? The house that's in the lower left-hand corner is 1112 King Road. The one that had the like light bulb security camera that is pretty damn clear. We don't know how much that can see though, because it's facing not the direction of the house. And what I've seen from it is facing that direction. I don't think there is another one. People have speculated maybe there is and maybe there is. I don't know. So now we see, okay, so the side of the house that has the first floor on it, the street in front of it right there is that king or queen? I just got mixed up. Jeez, I hate it when it gets so late. I get mixed up. Hold on, the next one has a map. Wait. Yeah. So this one, the one that wraps around is queen, and the one that like goes straight is king, right? Okay, all right.
Queen wraps around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Woo! Damn, everything looks different after midnight. Okay. So wait, let me get back to that. All right. So here's the house. So the road that is in front of like where the first floor is, and there's all those cars, the little 1122 King Road parking lot. So that's Queen, and then Queen goes, to where those people are standing, and the police car is, and then winds back up the side of the house, and then ends, and kind of like, if you wind back behind the house, I'm going to show you a much different perspective that's more clear in a minute. It's a parking lot. And, well, let me get to the more clear part. Do y'all know what the weather was that night? Do y'all know, or do you want to know? Does anyone know? I want to see if
it was cold, but I thought it was clear weather.
Well, I'll tell you in a minute. I noticed that there was a few different people are saying a few different things, so I had to get clear on that. Nope, don't know it. Okay, good. I'm sorry if there were any like technical weird things. I froze. Okay. What? Why would it? I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm sorry, guys. But anyway, I don't know what to tell you. Mercury is in retrograde. That always explains everything. I love that as an explanation. Everything is fucked up. Mercury's in retrograde. Okay, well, that's normal then. I'm just going to go on with my day and be happy about that. All right. It does. It affects. You're right. It does affect everything. Electrical, mechanical, like everything you mentioned. Okay, hold it. Sounds like there are people in here in the chat who saw that crime scene because they know those girls clean the crime scene. That's kind of strange. Were you there before and after? I really need to know. Yeah, I mean, exactly. The only way you would know if those girls cleaned the crime scene is if you were in there with them. What cleaning supplies did you bring? Wouldn't that be, tampering with a crime scene, and a crime scene of, this charge would probably bring anybody who tried to cover it up a felony charge. So you probably don't even want to talk about it in chat. Nobody was there before and after. Okay. In my opinion. What would they have cleaned up? Like you're saying they had illegal substances in there and they flushed out the toilet. Maybe they did. Sometimes people do that. Sometimes college students do that. And, it doesn't make you anything other than somebody who used party substances in college and was like, oh, cops might be coming up. I better flush that down the toilet. In my opinion. Good night. Unspoken heart stillness. What a great name. Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay. That's what it was like 28 degrees. Yeah. So during the hours of like 3 to 4, it was at like 28 degrees to 28.5 degrees. So you can see from the footage of that night and like what's on the ground, that there was a little bit of snow on the ground, there was some hardened snow on the ground, and there was some clear crunchy, which means slippery ice, right? And
Yeah.
if you look back at the weather over the past 2 weeks prior to the 13th, it is really clear that there was some precipitation, that the temperatures were trending downwards, that things were only moving towards freezing with some new frozen precipitation on top without any moments of time when you would be in the, like thaw zone, when you're above like 32 and in the sunshine, right? So the ground was slippery. Also, from talking to the guys from University of Idaho and their compadres or whatever, they said it was really freaking like frigid and slick that night, like much more so than they were expecting. They had some clear memories of it. They were just like discussing something. I don't even want to say an event that happened because I watched another video today from a creator I usually like, but I thought it was a little conspiracy-ish. So I don't want to say what happened because it would fall right into the narrative, but they had a reason to remember, and it wasn't like a big bar brawl or anything like that. So we are talking about 28, 29 degrees in, frigid Idaho, very much like the climate here in upstate New York. Everything is frozen. I refer to it as a tundra, and you could slip and fall at any moment. Your car could, hit black ice at any moment. You could, you better have 4-wheel drive, right? Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. Please. So let's just take a look on that. So we are all clear on exactly what we do know and what we do not know based on the evidence that the authorities have put out.
3:29 a.m. surveillance footage.
I'm going to put credit to this channel in the description. It was like an ABC channel. This is not mine, but this is good, I think. So thank you, creator of this goodness.
Obtained by police from the King Road neighborhood captures a white sedan making an initial drive by the victim's.
Okay, the initial drive goes down Taylor. Taylor is the street where you see him coming in, that comes off of 95. That it's running like horizontal with that big open lawn that is essentially like right behind or in front of the Sigma Chi fraternity, depending on what you call the front or the back. I've heard people call both. We all know what we're talking about. And then they swing a left from our perspective onto King Road. And then they swing that next left onto Queen Road. So that turn, that second left, is going to be on the corner where 1112 King Road is with their security camera. I believe that would probably be enough for Olivia Gonzalez to see the driver of a student that they knew because he was a young fraternity pledge, not a what's that called? Oh my God. What is the freaking Uber driver or whatever they were saying it was? So she probably talked to some people who knew exactly what car he was driving, who it was. She could tell.
DoorDash.
No. When they people were saying that the girls called for an Uber from the grub truck, but their ride was really a younger fraternity member who is part of his pledge obligations, gives rides to, so that was who it was. But maybe also there's another camera. But then we see that the suspect's car then turns on Queen goes up the side of 1122 King Road. And then here it's showing that it goes into that little back parking lot area behind 1122 King Road. We aren't really sure what it does next. Some people speculate that he parked back up there, but I am certain that is not the case. And if I don't get to tell you why, I'll tell you why next time, but let's just keep going.
House. Authorities say this car will make another 2 passes in the next 30 minutes. 4:04 a.m. Authorities say the white sedan is seen driving into the neighborhood a 4th time. 4:20 a.m. Police say the white sedan is...
Okay, so the 4th time is finally at 4:04 a.m. Wait, let me go back to that slide again. I'm going to slow down. Oh, shit. Okay, here. Oops. Here we go. Yeah, do that again. Oh, no. Put it in good quality. Why is that always default to bad quality. YouTube, you're playing tricks on me and I don't like it. Okay, here we go.
Authorities say the white sedan is seen driving into the neighborhood a fourth time. 420.
So from what I gather, that fourth time, it did one of the times it went in front of the apartments that was 500 Queen Road, was it? Those like long, they're kind of like the brownish apartments. And then another time again, it went up behind 1122 King Road into that back parking lot area where I think he was really thinking that's where I want to park. And I think he was unable to park there strategically when he looked at it and got his little white Hyundai Elantra. Have you ever driven a Hyundai Elantra? I would never have a Hyundai Elantra in the winter where I live. It wouldn't get me out of my driveway. You know what I mean? So, I mean, they're not bad cars, but when you're talking ice and all that, different. Y'all with me so far? You with me, Jeannie? Jesus. Oh my God. So let's see. Dagburn Johnny Gobbles dead floozy mother. Wow, dang, y'all. That's like a name and a name. 4 a.m. was a popular time. DoorDash, Dylan wakes up, and Enon Harsh hears a scream. I discount Enon's scream. I think he's all but discounted it. I don't have anything against him, but I don't think that was real. He really shrugged back off of that. I think he was kind of ashamed of himself. That was the sense I got. I might be wrong, and if I am, sorry, y'all, and Harsh and whatever, but yeah, you're right though. Yep. Let's see. 52. Yeah, the crime scene has been getting tampered with ever since. Yeah. Yeah, it was a pledge. Yeah, it was a pledge that picked up Kaylee and Maddie. Okay, Karen Klein, why only pictures of Kaylee and Maddie? And you know what? I think this was something, who was talking about this? No, it was a different channel that was talking about this. I watched Harsh Reality's video today, and I told you I was thinking about it. And I watched Neek's Peaks video today, who I usually like. I did that one. I was like, oh man, we're going way off in left field. That was something she mentioned. Why was there no video of Ethan and Xana from the Sigma Chi house? Well, it's been confirmed to me that they don't have security cameras there. There are other security cameras around, but there wasn't a need, I don't think, for investigators to get that footage and put it out there in a way where they did with grub truck footage to the public, because I think that they saw some of the, many of the people in the grub truck footage at the time as being possible suspects. And despite, the popular narrative that people like to gaslight others with, I really don't think that the people that were at the other college students at the Sig Chi party, it was kind of a close group of people. Remember, Ethan that night went to his sister's formal for a short time. This also goes into the issue of Ethan's car being 1122 King Road or not. I have answers on that, but I'm not going to get to it tonight because it's going to be too much information. I don't think that there was a need to put that out. That's my thought on it. I could be wrong, but it's just my thought.
1 a.m. Police say the white sedan is seen leaving the neighborhood at a high rate speed.
So that last news clip was from the very beginning of the investigation. Okay. And then it got cut off. Okay. So that's okay. All right, guys. So this is what Bethany saw. Let me get to some pictures. Well, no, here, I'll just talk while these pictures are running. This is kind of perfect. All right. Okay. All right. So this is what Bethany saw. And I guess there are things she heard, but there weren't things that she heard from a crime being occurred. What she heard, so to speak, was from Dylan. So Jeannie, this is how I know that the interaction, the communication between Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk was more than like, oh, hey, are you okay? There's like something noise or whatever. All good. Okay, bye-bye. I'm going to go into the frozen shock phase now. Bye. I know it wasn't that, because what Bethany Funk saw was, hold on, I got to get a picture of the house up. Let's see here. What are you laughing
You're
at?
killing me. I was laughing. I forgot I had you muted. That was hilarious.
Why we should.
Oh, okay, got you. All right. So, okay, there we go. Okay, here we go. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Okay. All right. So this is the, do we call this the front or the back of the house? I don't know. People call them both. And this is the side of the house that has the first floor on it. All right. So as you're looking at this, we see that as we are looking at it on the first floor right side, that is the secondary room on the first floor. It is currently empty. They have a couple things in there, just like storing some things in there or whatever. I actually heard that, I heard two different people, I'm not sure who it was, or maybe it was two different people, were using that room as a storage room, and just kind of recently believed that some of their things that were in there that were, one person was really pissed off about it because it was something that was very meaningful to that person, all of a sudden were missing. From what I understand, it was not believed that it was the other roommates that stole their stuff. But remember, we do know that there's a lot of people going in and out of that house just as a social scene activity. We do know that there was a big party there the Friday night before the Saturday when they all went out, and then the terrible Sunday morning happened. And that was absolutely confirmed time and time again by just about everybody that I've talked to in Idaho, which isn't like a ton of people, but I feel very, very certain that it did happen. So somebody was stealing something out of that downstairs when we're looking at right-hand side of the room. So that was currently pretty darn empty, and I don't know if it was locked or unlocked, honestly. But then on the left side, as we're looking at it here, is where Bethany's room was. Let's see here. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. All right. Oh, that's weird. This is a good perspective here. Hold it. There we go. I knew I concluded the right picture somewhere. All right, here it is. Okay. All right. Maximize.
As they hope.
Oh, no. Geez, that started moving fast. Dang. Okay. So now we're looking at this house, 1122 King Road. We know that Bethany's room is on the first floor left side, right? So you want to know what it is that she saw. And I know I'm going to explain this exactly right. She saw someone that she said, and from what I understand, initially like, came out from a direction or appeared in a way or both, or was moving at a speed or in a manner that she wasn't used to if she'd look out her window and see, the normal like college kids with their beer cans or whatever, or their White Claw, until the cops empty it out, hanging around there. It just kind of surprised her from the get-go. So apparently she describes eventually what this person was wearing. Shortly after that, or as it was happening, and I'm not really clear on which, and I'm actually going to find out because I think that someone has an answer. Just a second. But that's the most description I can give you with, being sincere about it. If I was like, and then this and this and this, that I don't know that for sure. But it happened in a short period of time. She talked to Dylan, who was calling all the roommates more than once because she was very concerned by all the things we know that she heard and saw that are in the probable cause affidavit. And from what I understand, some other things that are not in the probable cause affidavit. And that does not surprise me. I think we could probably figure that could very well be the case, right? So Dylan Mortensen started to described to Bethany why she was concerned. And in that description of why she was concerned, and she was calling everybody, and apparently, from what I understand, this was very like tense at that time. Like the level of fear was high. The sense of feeling like okay and safe and like able to go back to sleep or just relax was absent at the time when this conversation initially occurred. And it sounds like, only got a little more tense as it went on. Dylan describes to Bethany what she saw, why she's concerned, probably hoping, and this is just me speculating, that Bethany's gonna be like, oh, don't worry, it's all good. Whatever, it's all good. Nothing's going on down here. Mercury is not in retrograde. It's cool. Go to sleep. We'll have brunch tomorrow. Peace. But what Bethany said to her was, oh my God, what? You saw what? Oh my God, I just saw that guy. I am watching. What was he wearing? Dude, I think I am seeing the same person walking down the side of the house. So that is what she saw out of her front window. And according to the story that is known by a decent amount of people, Dylan and Bethany they didn't question the fact that that their description of the person that they saw that was alarmed Dylan initially startled Bethany. And I don't think she even had a chance to set in, is this alarming or what? Because she was learning that Dylan saw someone who scared the shit out of her, matching the same description. And now she's looking at him. She sees the back of him as he is walking down the side of their house and then away from the house, away from where she stands on that, or sits. I don't know what she was doing. Looking out the left side as we're looking at the front of the house window of that first floor bedroom. Make sense? So
she saw him walking away or walking toward?
Walking away. She saw the back of him.
Okay.
You let everybody
to
observe.
ask.
What?
You're gonna hate.
Go ahead.
You're gonna hate this question.
Yeah.
You're gonna hate this question.
It's okay.
You know what I'm gonna ask.
Go for it.
If the level of fear was so high, and Dylan saw somebody in the house, and Bethany sees somebody walking outside the house, why on earth did they not call 911, Kelly?
I know. I had days of confusion and anger and existential questioning of the meaning of life. When I realized this happened, and I realized that this is what happened, it put me back to square one. And I was like, why did I make that 5Fs video after all? I know.
Well, I'm not saying that it would have saved them, because I don't believe it would have. I do believe that their wounds were unaliving immediately. I do not believe that there was time to save them. But I don't know that, because the only word I have is the coroner, and I don't trust her.
Because she mixed up the manner and the cause of death, and no coroner should do that, because if nothing else, is disrespectful.
I've never, ever heard of a coroner speaking about a case before it was solved. They don't even speak after they're solved. They rarely even go on the stand. Usually a medical examiner that later does the autopsy goes on the stand. You don't even ask a coroner questions because they don't know the answers.
And there's supposed to be a bit of dignity that goes along with the elected position.
Yeah, they're supposed to be. So the only thing we know about their wounds came from her. And if you listen to what she said from them, calling right then would have not mattered. But I'm sorry.
I know.
Why would you? If you're afraid, I mean, if you're afraid, okay.
I know.
If I'm those girls, I'm not going to stay alone. Okay, at this point, you've got one downstairs and one upstairs, the other two girls on the upstairs. I'm not going to stay alone. At the very least, I'm going to go to the room of the other girl so we can be scared together.
Right.
Okay? I remember being this age, and I would never consider calling 911. I don't care if someone ran right by my window. I would never consider it. I was dumb at this age. I was really dumb. But I wouldn't
I don't
stay in
believe
my
that because you're
room.
so damn smart now. There's no way.
No, I was really dumb at that age. But I would definitely have. I remember being like 16, 17, and I used to babysit kids, and they have this dog, and the dog got freaked out about the backyard one time, and I thought somebody was back there. I didn't call 911. I should have. A week later, their house was robbed. I should have called 911, but I didn't. I was very scared. I went and I sat outside the girl's bedroom door so I could protect them, but I didn't call anyone because I was afraid. I didn't consider calling 911. I knew the parents would be home in like an hour, but I was afraid. The dog was barking at the door. It was a little bitty schnauzer. It wasn't going to help me. I knew that. I could bark louder than the schnauzer. Sorry, schnauzer love. Nothing against schnauzers, but I knew he wasn't going to be any help. I didn't see anything in the backyard, which was the problem. They had lights, floodlights in their backyard, and I didn't see anything. So perhaps there was nothing there that night.
Right.
But I know that my first instinct, now I was 16. I wasn't in college, but my first instinct was not to call 911. However, if there had been another girl anywhere in that house, I would have been in her room. We would have been together, and we would have been talking about our fear together.
Okay, so I haven't. When you're done, I do have a little bit of a response to that. It didn't fully pacify me, but they're
okay. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I asked all the same questions, and apparently the way the conversation went down between Dylan and Bethany. So I was kind of trying to explain to you exactly how the conversation apparently went down. And at first it was this kind of like, oh my God, and they were both, and then Bethany was startled, and they were both kind of freaking out. But imagine if you are Dylan and Bethany, and it is 4:20-ish in the morning right now, and you've been out drinking. It's been a long, fall semester or whatever, or core, whatever the hell would have been at school. And, the alcohol, whatever, is starting to wear off, that kind of tired. And plus it's 4 a.m. and you probably got up early the day before because you were meeting somewhere because there was a big football game at 11 a.m. Saturday morning. So you were probably up early getting all pretty like you are, and then pre-gaming a little bit in your own kitchen because, hey, why not start drinking at 8 or 9 in the morning when you're in college? So I'm sure they were exhausted. So when you're in that state and you're scared, you don't even need to be in that state at all. But just when you're really scared, what do you want to do? You want the fear to go away. What is the fear of? The fear is of a threat to your life, to your well-being, to whatever is precious to you that is around you. So when you're that scared, you want the fear to go away. The fear that needs to go away is the fear that is threatening you. So what is one of the a skill that we have that we use the most? And one of the first things we can go to neutralize that fear, it is to rationalize. What is more powerful than rationalizing in your own mind? Some of the time, rationalizing with someone else who's going, yeah, you're, oh my God, yep, you're totally right.
Two girls get together. Exactly. Two girls get right. You're absolutely right. They could have talked each other down.
Exactly.
One just say to the other, well, I heard him saying, it's okay, I'm going to help you. Meaning, Ethan's upstairs, and there's nothing bad going on upstairs.
And like, oh my God, look at Ethan's upstairs. He's he's
Ethan's a big guy.
We're fine. Ethan was here. Okay, good night.
Right, he's upstairs, and they didn't hear any screams. So he's upstairs. Everything's fine. Everything has to be fine. The dog's not barking. He's Ethan's upstairs. Everything's okay. It must have just been like a college guy walking by. Because think about how. Okay, now I'm rationalizing. Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, I know. I know I know exact. I did the exact same thing because I was like, "What the?" And then it was exactly how it went down with us. And then it was like, I'm going to finish the story, and you're going to probably get it if you don't, or whatever. And I caught right on to it because that's what you want to do. That is our tendency. We don't want to see other people like in that uncomfortable state of fear for their life. We definitely don't want to be in that state. So we do whatever we can do to neutralize it, even if it's not like even if it's just gaslighting our own brains. And like that's kind of what we do sometimes, and it's kind of what they were doing, I think.
I get it. I do get it.
So that is my answer. Let's see. Amy says, I offered, oh, you're not talking about them. Never mind. I'll read your story about something different later. Sorry. Yeah. LB says they didn't think it was an M word. YouTube. What do you want me to say there? Moo moo. At that time, right? I don't think they could have possibly imagined or comprehended in their wildest dreams what just happened.
You don't just
above them. Yeah.
No one thinks that a mass unaliving is going to happen in their house. No one does, especially a teenage girl that lives with abandon. Think about those girls. They were in sororities. They were
yeah.
You know those girls. You were those girls.
Yes.
They were self-assured. They were confident. They went out. They were go-getters. They were not wallflowers, right?
Right.
Each one of them was confident in their own space.
Yeah.
They didn't share rooms. They each had a room in that house.
And you feel invincible. I know, like at that age, I'm sorry I can't share the stories, or I would, but it would be like it would not be good if if students I worked with or something heard these stories, because they do not reflect well. I mean, there were several times when I did things because I just was like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. Like, let's do that. Where it really could have ruined the outcome of my life for one reason or another. And I think that is for many people, an unfortunate rite of passage of being like young and, like you said, Jeannie, a little bit dumb, not like in the mean sense, but like not experienced in life and with a lot of energy and excited. Woo. Yeah. So. Yeah. Okay. So, hey, here's the next question. David Bass says, how does that provide exculpatory evidence or exculpatory material for Kohberger? I thought that was the proposition here. Yep. That was Ann Taylor's proposition. I personally think that, this is a little confusing to me. And I was talking to two people who are attorneys about it. It was a little confusing to them too, because they both reiterated the importance of including only that which you believe to be factual and that is ethical, if you are questioning it or asserting it in those court documents. So the word exculpatory being included in those court documents in the first place is really confusing to me because, I think at this point we know damn well there was no true exculpatory evidence that existed. Exculpatory evidence is evidence that, that gives reasonable doubt on the very weak end to disprove or proves the innocence of somebody when it is realized. That didn't exist. It did not exist. It could not have existed. If it did exist, we'd all know about it by now, and there would not be a trial going on. There would have been proceedings would have ended by now with a different outcome.
They could have had a special hearing. They could have said, look, we know that she knows this. We know exactly that it is this, and that will clear my client and make her produce it. They absolutely could have had a separate hearing.
Absolutely,
the reason they're not getting a separate hearing is because there is no evidence. They could have maybe, attacked her credibility on the stand, which is, I'm certain what they would have done.
And
what
I
did
think
you
that could have been a really risky move with a jury when she is a victim of post-traumatic stress syndrome to that degree. But yeah, they may have, yes.
No, I mean at the
pre-trial. Yeah.
the pretrial. I think they would have done that. I think they would have brought them in and they would have asked them questions, and then they would have brought up, well, how much alcohol did you have to drink? Can you really be sure of what you said? And yes, they would have gotten that all on the record, and then they would have used it to attack their credibility once they got them on the stand, to perjure them, not to make them look bad to the jury. To make them look bad.
Kohlberger off when the only thing that I think Ann Taylor can see to get him off with is constitutional procedure.
Right. And Ivy Lane, I'm not making excuses for them. I'm asking why it didn't happen. So
you're breaking up a little, honey. Can you say again?
There has to be a reason, right? Excuse me. At some point. Hang on a second. There we go. That's better. Is that better?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's better. Yes.
Okay. So Ivy was saying we're making excuses for them. I'm not trying to make excuses for them, Ivy, but what we do know, I'm asking for an answer. What we do know is that at some point they were afraid. And we do know then that when they woke up in the morning, they had to call 911, or someone had to call 911. So I'm asking how they became unafraid and went to sleep that night. That was my question. Now, Kelly gave a rational answer. I remember being that age, and I remember being that kind of dumb. Everybody says, oh, I would call 911, I would call 911. I remember being that age and being afraid and not calling 911. I was very lucky. I was never the victim of a crime or crime adjacent, as we'll call these two. I think people forget they're victims. Yeah. They're actually victims. Their friends died. All of their friends died. And so does it matter when they called? If they couldn't save them, does it matter? I mean, I'm certain it matters to the parents, but if we have a medical examiner that gets up there and tells us that these were wounds that unalived immediately and couldn't be saved, then all this time that we have been tearing apart these two will it have been for nothing? I mean, that's my question. I'm just trying to understand them, that's all. I'm not trying to excuse their behavior in any way, because you saw it was my very first question. If they were afraid, why did they not call 911? Why didn't they go upstairs, see what's going on? Well, I understand actually why they didn't go upstairs, because they didn't see anything upstairs. They saw something downstairs. They saw something outside. So it makes sense they didn't go upstairs.
Right.
They didn't think anything had happened upstairs.
Exactly.
They thought upstairs was fine because there was no screaming, and Ethan was there. The dog was there. The dog wasn't barking. Everything was fine upstairs.
Exactly.
They were
that's exactly it. Yep.
They were more worried about the bottom floor. So that's what I was asking. What did they do to get rid of their fear? I don't know.
They rationalized it.
Exactly. Because, and like I said, if we have a medical examiner that gets on the stand and says that, then I hope those girls get some peace. Because every single person that comes into this chat, I would say 9 out of 10 of them always say, I would call 911 right away. I don't know why these girls didn't, and blast them for it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Ivy said Kaylee fought. Her face was bashed in. Do we know that, Kelly?
Wait, say what?
We don't.
What was said?
She said Kaylee fought. Her face was bashed in.
No, we do not.
We don't know that.
In fact, what we did hear from the very little that we did hear from the like the first responders who I pray for their sanity and the quality of their mind and the rest of their lives right now. They've been very, I think, respectful. I think they handled this like professionals in that regard. Was that it was very confusing because here they were with these injuries. I don't know the descriptive word right now. I'm too tired to pick out one. but their faces looked like angels. That is the one thing that I know was said. So no, I don't think that's true. I know that there were a couple people that spread around some really good fodder about the nature of the injuries that certain people had, and in particular Kelly. And to those people, I say, shame on you. That is disgusting.
Yeah,
I don't block
I've looked
anyone
at
from my channel, but those people are blocked from my channel because, like, seriously, that's not, we just don't have to do it. But none of it, from what I understand, absolutely none of it was true. And some of it is known to not be true. So, yeah.
Well, according to the state of Idaho versus Brian Koberger, which the entire court filing, which we are able to see, is available to anybody, and it's free. You are free to tiptoe through all of the filings and see everything that the court has that has been released.
That's why I'm going to write my letter.
Other than that, it is it's fodder.
That's right.
It's not, we can't say what happened to her face, what happened to any part of her body until there's testimony about it. I'm certain there will be. I'm certain there'll be a lot of testimony about that. But other than that, I mean, we just don't know.
That's right. We don't know. And you know what? There is more. I know some people were asking more questions. Where did he park? I have so much more to show you about the state of the roads at the side of the house, the parking lot behind the house, the roads that go over towards the 500.
I was saying,
but it's not going to be tonight.
Amy had asked me.
Go ahead.
Amy had asked me about him parking in the front, and I said to her, I used to live in Wisconsin, and I had a small car. I was a Maxima. I would never have pulled to the side of that house. Just what I'm seeing now, it looks like it looks like black ice with some snow.
Yeah.
And then the other parking lot over there, I would never have pulled my car into either of those spots because I wouldn't have been. I don't know that I could have gotten out. Yeah. I would have only parked in the front there, me personally. Now, granted, I didn't go unaliving people. I'm just saying.
I'm going to show you some video that's going to show you that is, I mean, it is pretty crazy. I want to show you some video. I'm going to show you exactly what it was looking like back there. It's actually, I'm going to show you a couple clips of it. You may have seen the video already from the interview room with Chris McDonough and his wife, Karen, who went out there just a few days later, and he got some really good footage that, particularly with what we know now about what Bethany saw, I was like, wow, oh my God, I'm so glad he got that. Yes. So I totally agree with you, Jeannie. I just want to answer this really quick. J. Lord, hi, how are you doing? Says, the lawyer said the Bethany Funk exculpatory evidence stink is a standard defense attorney tactic when playing with a bad hand. Okay. All right. See, when I heard him talking about it, I think what I understood from him, and I haven't heard him talk about it like in the last week or two. I don't know when the last time I heard him talk about was. Things have been busy. But I think he was like, you kind of, I didn't get the sense that he thought it was standard, but you may have heard something else, or it may just be a difference of our opinions. But yeah, I mean, obviously she can do it because she is doing that. And if she couldn't do it without losing her law license, she probably would not do it. That's been the point of a lot of what I've had to say today. So, and based on that and how much people value their career, their position, their livelihood, their income, their home, their bank account, their savings, and would rather be going being lawyering every day than working in a restaurant, she's not going to put all that at risk by being unethical in front of the eyeballs of the whole world, right? I just can't see it. Let's see. Okay, so Just Amber says, I think the state would be calling BF to the stand if she saw the same perp as DM, yet she's not listed as a witness at all. Well, the funny thing with that is I know that there are that the judge set deadlines for certain things, and I understand all of that. If a witness is important, and this is a strategy that is used in trial at times, some that we've watched recently, the drop dead Idaho law on discovery is the day before the trial begins. Now, a judge has a liberty to set deadlines and, to kind of pace that or make that timeline. Oh, you can just exchange discovery up until the day before the trial to make that a little less ridiculous. But that is a drop dead deadline. And I don't know. I'm going to ask somebody that does know. And if I think to, I'll give you an answer. It'll come up at some point. I bet that in states like Idaho, where that is your final deadline, it's called, and rather than like pulling a stunt, it's called legal strategy to, conjure up a witness after the bulk of them have been conjured up. And you're like, oh, that's the whole witness list. Oh, wait, it's not. Oh, of course, I should have known that was coming. In my opinion, I think we'll see that. Because I can't believe the state wouldn't be calling her up. Now, here is the confusing thing to me. Again, I really do believe that Ann Koberger wanted her to testify in the pretrial hearing because she wanted her to get on the stand. She wanted to know everything she knew, and she also wanted to be able to use her word against her in the trial, of course. So now, they have the grand jury instead of the pretrial hearing that Bethany Funk doesn't testify at the pretrial hearing. Obviously, it never happened. But then Ann Taylor tells us, and I can't believe she kept a straight face when doing it. Well, actually, no, I think she was doing COVID math. But that Brian Koberger's alibi is that, well, he was driving around because he likes to drive around at night. He drives around at night. He likes to drive around at night. But not by 1122 King Road. So if...
One second.
Okay.
Can you point, the gift of Magi asked, can you point which direction he would be coming from with your mouse?
Yes. So I was going to wait to get to this until the next video, but that's okay. I will. I'll do it now.
Sorry. That always happens to you.
Okay. I know, it's okay. I'm just going to do it really quick. So Bethany saw him coming down the side of the house that is, and this is surprising to me, but I can also think of why this is. And when we look at the back and stuff, it might make more sense. But she saw him coming down the side of the house that is to our right, not the side with the trees, but the side that is more open. And I'm thinking to myself, why not give yourself some cover? But then I'm also thinking about some other things I'll share with you the next time we talk about
the sliding glass door.
Well, yeah, that too. That's right. Yeah, the sliding glass.
That's the route for the sliding glass door.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. It does. Hey, wait, I want to look at the back of the house really quick now. Yeah. Yep. Obviously, me. Sometimes the obvious is too complicated for me. All right. And I'm sorry, listen, don't even comment on this video going, that's not a bomb. Somebody else produced some actual facts that we don't know that are more gifting than those are to you. There you go. Now go play with those, but please don't make bullshit up because that's not the purpose. I'm not talking to you because I know you wouldn't do that, all of you. So, but you know who I'm talking to. All right. So, oh yeah, right. And okay, yeah. Oh yeah. So I mean, this just all makes perfect sense. When we look at the weather, yeah, it's gonna make perfect sense. I want to find the exact right picture to show you. Oh man, my allergies are so bad right now. That just came out of nowhere. Sorry. Would you say, Jeannie?
I started asking if it was allergy season and I started sneezing.
Yeah, it is for me.
Apparently it is.
Yeah. Oh my God, big time too. Okay. All right. I'm losing my focus. Really, I am. I'm losing my focus. I can't find the picture. I want to find you. But yeah, so that's the side of the house that he came down. We're going to explore that more at a later date because I'm losing my focus and I'm tired and I have to be to work early in the morning. Oh crap, tomorrow's Monday. Great. So, yep. Back of the house picture. Or is not here. So what do you think, Jeannie? Go ahead and give us the last word. Unmute yourself, though. If you're there. If you dare. If you will. Mike, give us the last word. She's over here. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I think the last word is that you have another video.
Oh, no.
Somebody asked, wait, there's another video after this? And I said, there's always another video. My last word is this. I think that he parked in the front because he couldn't park on the side, or he didn't want to park on the side because of the grass and ice. Maybe, I'm sorry, the ice. Also, maybe because of that house over there. Do you see the house that's way, way up on the very right, the top of the screen?
Right.
I wish I could point to it for you. So we got the King Road house in front of us, right?
Wait,
And then
hold
down
on.
to the...
Oh, I'm going to try to point out here. Let me get rid of this. Whoops. Hold on. Does this show it in the picture I'm showing right now?
Yeah, right now. So you've got King Road right in front of us. Now, down to the bottom of your screen, you've got the house we were talking about that has the camera that points to the road.
Bottom
right?
Bottom right.
Okay. Now, if you go up their driveway and you pull around the back of the house, which is where the sliding glass door is, right? See that house over there to the right, the very back? They're going to see you. So he couldn't very well take his car.
Oh, right. Yep.
Because the trees, the tree coverage that time of year, they lost a lot of leaves, right? It looks really thick right now in that picture, but it's not. Because when you think about it in winter, you know what it's like. The leaves leave all the trees, and then you have no coverage, nothing to hide behind. So if he took his car all the way back around the house, that house over there would be able to see him.
That's right. And I think when he was doing those 4 passes and the 12 trips before, he knows enough about committing crime and solving a crime to know to use the technique of line of sight. And he was putting himself where he could get the perfect perspective by looking at that house he might be concerned about in a certain way, right into the windows to understand exactly what they could see from their windows. It doesn't take a genius because he is not a genius, but he knew to do that because, well, it's like,
exactly.
If you're investigating something, it's one of the, something that you can do to start investigating that doesn't require an expensive calibrated tool or anything like that. Or
we did
lab.
Right at the beginning of this case, how many creators did I see check out the line of sight for this house?
Right.
So think about the fact that you're a YouTube creator. You do not study criminal defense.
Right.
You didn't go, you talked about a little bit of law, but you went to college for psychology.
Yeah.
You're a YouTube creator, right? You're studying true crime. But the very first thing you and a lot of people did was looked at line of sight. You looked at what the bedrooms could see, what the windows could see, what their neighbors could see. So it would only serve that the person who committed the crime was going to do the same thing. He was going to do it way before we did. If we're going to do it, certainly he's going to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think also if, he is driving around those 12 times or even those 4 passes that night and he's thinking about what he's doing, as I mentioned, I think that his grandiose sense of self is so grand, it spawned an evil, grandiose sense of confidence, which pacified the anxiety and fear and apprehension and conscience that we would all be exercising that would not allow us to do something like that. But he was like, all right, man, it's good. I'm feeling confident. Yeah, I'm doing this. So what I got to check out? Okay. Who can see me? I can see you. You can see me. If I can see you, you can see me. Not good. I got to go somewhere else. Right. So yeah. Yeah. Yep. Why leave two people vital, Karen? You know, so many people ask this question. I just think I think I think he was spent. I think that he encountered some surprises. I think that he didn't know Kaylee was there. I think he definitely did not know Ethan was there. And I think that he was, I think he thought he was dealing with 3 tipsy college girls who didn't have a care in the world because it was just kind of a quiet night moving towards the holidays in Moscow, Idaho, to like, it was a lot more than that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget.
Yeah, there's no snow until no, that's not true, Jay Lord. That's not true. Where are you looking? Where are you finding that?
A lot of people forget that 2 people were not supposed to be there that night. And he may have been in that house before, but he did not have insider knowledge on them not being there. I mean, right. Ethan especially, because I think Ethan was only one of those, I'm falling asleep drunken at my girlfriend's house because I'm drunk and we're going to hang out together.
Right.
And I'm drunk, so I'm going to pass out. And I don't care if he was drunk because he's a kid and I was drunk at his age.
Right.
And you know, bless your heart, Ethan. I don't care if you were drunk, boy, I don't. So Ethan definitely wasn't supposed to be there. And then Kaylee wasn't supposed to be there. So a lot of people forget they weren't supposed to be there.
Right.
So maybe he only came in for 1 or 2 things. And so it wasn't supposed to be as big as it was.
Yeah. Right. I agree with that. She is just fishing for info. Who, me or Jean? We're talking. You can call it fishing if you want. No, talking, fishing, dancing. We're dancing right now for information. People are so I think that's totally it. And then somebody else commented like he was tired, he was satiated, and I think that is that. Sure, honey.
He might have also, we don't know enough about him, but he might have also, I said he might have also wanted to leave behind living victims. There have been unalivers out there who that is part of their MO. They want to leave living victims, testaments to their crime.
Yeah.
And I think that he came back by the next day going, why isn't everyone here? Why isn't there this big spectacle? I've done this big thing and no one's looking at my work. I left behind 2 people so that they could report it. Why isn't everyone here? You know, I've made this big work of art and no one is looking at it.
Yeah.
It was a big look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me.
Right.
You talked about it. His pride, his avarice, you talked about it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. Now someone says, and I mean, this is a question. I don't see how this benefits the defense. And I have that thought often too, but I also have the thought, we still don't know like almost any of the evidence that they have. For all we know, they also interviewed a male college student walking by himself and another male college student walking by himself. They were coming from that house that Jeannie just pointed out around the same time. And they were wearing all black and they had a mask covering their face because it was whatever. There's so many possible reasons the defense could have felt like, you know what? And whatever it is she has to say that she thinks is like so badass, I'm going to be able to neutralize it because look at, I talked to this witness, I talked to this witness, I can spin this, I can do this, I can pull this out of my ass and this from the sky. It's going to be fine. But I need to know exactly what she's going to say because I can't have any surprises when it comes to the trial, which is why they wanted her to testify or in the trial hearing.
I agree because they couldn't get a deposition out of her. She flat out agreed. I mean, she flat out said no, and I don't blame her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole.
No, I mean, and she, as everybody has reported, and as we see in the PCA, and as we have observed with our own eyes and ears, nobody has heard boo from this witness. Why, and from what we have learned about her, she does seem like a nice girl who's not going to be like plotting to murder people, but she wasn't that quiet, like something. She is like, she needs to be silent right now. She is doing whatever she needs to do. I think she is so highly traumatized. I mean, and I don't know. Yeah, I just think she is so. I think she's with her family. She is seeing doctors. She is getting like psychological support, and she is hoping that it didn't essentially end her life, that can experience joy and positive things at age 21. Or what? Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, and I hope she is able to work through that, because I truly just I cannot imagine a scenario where either one of them would have had advanced knowledge of this.
No,
I mean that it takes those kind of people are like, I don't know. Maybe we should all need to study a criminology class, but statistically, they're so few and far between.
they
Like,
really are.
True
psychopaths are very rare. People
Yeah.
think they're everywhere because you watch criminal shows and there's one caught every week, but they're very rare. And that young,
Yeah.
he's showing signs of a complete psychopathy that young.
Yeah.
No.
Right. Yeah.
And no one sees signs. The girl lives in a house with 4 other people, and no one sees signs that she's a psycho. No. Mm-mm.
Right.
I
know. Yeah, right. Exactly. And Brian Koberger, there are clear indicators of the psychopathy a lot earlier. Well, I don't know, very early on. I'm just going to say that. I'm not even going to compare it to anyone else, because I'm just going to talk about him. He was a lone wolf. He did not get along with others. He was socially inept and maladaptive. He was unable to develop skills that would ease his, social angst and awkwardness. And I think there was a great uncomfortableness within him at some point, but at some point, I really think, as it is with sociopathy, he realized, this is who I am, and it's not going to change. Just like at some point he realized, this is who I am. I'm an M word, and that is not going to change. So asking the why is such a frivolous question when you're asking that to the true crime community, because
they know who they are and they accept it. It's not. Right. It is not something they fight. It's innate. It's part of them.
And it is in it into where for us, we're like, oh my God, freaking, could you imagine if that was me? I would go wash my soul out with like borax and get a frontal lobotomy. But they are, it is like tantalizing for them. It drives them. It's the source of their pride. It is their essence. And like Brian Koberger, like all of the rest of truly sociopathic motherfuckers, thought he was the bomb. And there's no convincing him otherwise. There's no convincing him he could do any wrong or anyone else was right and he was wrong. He could not comprehend getting caught for this crime that was his passion, his baby, his pet project, the work of his life so far. I believe that. Truly, I do.
I do too. It's something that he always thought about, something he planned, and he planned, what is it? He worked the plan and he planned the work all the time.
Yeah.
It was a study. It was his life study. And it wasn't just a fluke. Oh, I'm going to pull up here and I'm going to go in and I'm going to unalive some kids. No, it was a plan. And people say, okay, well, then why did he go over to Idaho when they have the death penalty and not do it in Washington?
Well, he couldn't fathom being caught. It didn't matter if that existed or not.
Exactly. He wouldn't care on that. And there are some who they say that the victim picks them. when they find a victim, zero in on a victim, that has to be the victim. Some have a looser choice, I guess, like a looser menu, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But there are some psychopaths that have come out and said, once I found the victim, once I zoned in, that was it. She was the victim, and nothing was going to change that. She was going to be unalived by me.
Yeah, I don't think we see any evidence of that level of obsession with him. With that one,
Right, I'm not sure. I don't think so because
I don't. Yeah, but we don't know everything.
Right, we don't know everything.
Yeah.
So we don't know if any of them were actual. Was it that, or was it just like, this is a house that I've seen lots of people go in and out of, and I see that they're 4 silly girls that come home drunk and they look like easy victims to me. Yeah. Not saying they were easy victim, guys. Sorry, I'm not trying to speak unkindly of the victims. I'm not.
No.
I was just trying.
This is his perception of them based on
this is his perception, not mine.
The person he has in his mind, not
right. Please believe. I don't think that. I'm trying to say what he would think.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what he saw. I don't know, but something tells me more, considering the fact that he drove around. I think it was a compulsion that he couldn't do, not a different unaliving. It was this one that happened, because you have to think on that night how many drunken college kids came home that night.
Right.
I mean, it was a typical weekend, right? How many frat and sororities were there? And then it's a college town. So think about all of the girls that were leaving bars alone. Yeah. There were crimes of excuse me, opportunity that he could have taken. He didn't have to do this.
That's right.
He could have gone to a different, found a girl that was walking to her car from the bar.
Right.
It would have been that simple. Killed her in her car or behind her car. Sorry, unalived. I'm so sorry. Okay. He didn't have to do this. So doing this and doing the circle route over and over and over tells me that maybe there was a compulsion. Maybe one of them was actually chosen by him. I don't know. But circling that many times.
Well, this is what I make of it. So I definitely get what you're saying there. I've gone with a kind of another perspective on that. And also to answer the question here, then wait, hold it. I gotta find the little piece of information. I'll find it one. I'm just finding things on the fly. What's the comment here? It would be risky for him during that, like it with it being so icy too. He could slip and fall, etc. Well, I mean, the whole thing is going to be a little more risky for him when it's icy. But consider this: he grew up in the Pocono area, and he is going to school, and he went to school there, and he was going to school in Idaho. Like, people like even when I went to school like near Philadelphia, and I'm from way upstate New York, and born December 30th, the day Brian Kober was arrested, proudly. And people be like, "Oh my God, aren't you freezing? It's so cold and icy out here." I'm like, "Oh, what? This is like tropical to me. This is like being in mother's womb. I love it." Like when you kind of like live in like that climate, it's not as doesn't feel as risky for you. But also, guys, we also do have to consider this two possibilities. Well, one factor and one possibility. We were saying we don't know if there was a target and who, if there was, who it was. If that target did happen to be Kaylee, who I thought was in the beginning, and then I backed off of that. But if that target happened to be Kaylee, and it turns out that we do find out that he was stalking her social media, he would know that the last opportunity he would have would be that night or the next night. Because I think she was planning on going home on Monday. Because she was leaving. She was going to Texas the next week or like after that. So, yeah. Now, other factor is we also have to remember what was going on in the totality of his life. So he gets out there to his doctoral program, just like he did in high school, just like he did in career and technical school. He starts having interactions with females that are causing him problems, that are making his plan not work the way he wants. They're in the way. His anger is growing. He's stewing. He's disgusted. He is, again, in my opinion, feeling that sense of somebody owes him, and he's just going to take what is his anyway. However he rationalized that. Remember, he was a teaching assistant in the doctoral program. He had been, he had received for a write-up for his like I can't remember how it was worded. I wasn't so tired. Professional norms and standards that he wasn't following. And it seems like what that was referring to was the difference between how he would treat certain students as compared to others that happened to split down a gender line, and also particularly the treatment of two females. So, his whoever's mentor, professor, or like the professor he worked with, put him kind of on a professionalism improvement plan, so to speak. And I think it was this is what I'm looking for. It was just a matter of days before he found out that he was not invited back into the teaching assistant program when he came back in January. Well, wow. There's a lot of reasons to start to spiral out of control going on simultaneously in that man's life. And clearly he is not stable as it is, with all of these tendencies towards, a powder keg and a blowtorch.
Exactly. It's possible. I mean, she was only going to be there then, and she was gone. So maybe, in the beginning, everybody said, Kaylee was the target, Kaylee was the target, Kaylee was the target. And for some reason in my head, I always thought Xana was. I don't know why. It's just a thought I had. I think because she seemed different than the rest. I don't know why. But anyway, but you're right. She was leaving forever. So, yeah.
So that may have been it. And also, again, we found okay. So on September 23rd, Koberger has a like alteration with crap. Earn it. No, we don't want to talk about the cell phone. Okay. Sorry. Let me get back to my page. Okay. So here's a timeline of his possible spiral. September 23rd, he has it in with the professor that he is a TA for. And then the professor says in a letter, and then I met with you on October 3rd to discuss those norms of professional behavior. And then the professor and then the school records on October 21st, Professor Snyder emailed you about the ways in which you had failed to meet your expectations as a teaching assistant so far for the whole semester. And then on September 2nd, the director of the graduate school and the person who is authoring this letter and record from Washington State University says, I met with you to discuss an improvement plan, which you agreed to. I shared it with you on email on November 3rd. And then it says, wait. Okay, so up until the time before that, he had just gotten, admonished, putting on an improvement plan, put on another improvement plan, told if he doesn't improve, then he's going to be released as a teaching assistant. So it wasn't until after that, after the unalivenings happened, that he was released from the position. So, yeah, there's some clarity on that. If I left you hanging where I was going to leave you off, I would have given you a mistake.
No.
Go ahead.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Country Roads was saying that that letter, in their opinion, is what finally set him off.
Yeah, it seems like it's a pretty. I've tried to imagine like reading this myself, like as if it were. I mean, it makes me want to crawl into a hole and never come out. It's pretty. It's pretty. It would be hard for anyone to handle who has worked that hard to get where they are, even if they have some unsavory qualities. I don't know. Yeah, it was a tough one.
Yeah.
So, all right, I gotta go because I gotta go sleep because I gotta go to work in a couple hours, but a few hours. But thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate all of you, and I definitely am going to, do another live stream so we can talk about this again because there is a little more to share. There's more to look at. There's all these questions that we're talking about to discuss. And I know you guys also have some good information and input and like kind of reactions to all this to share that will contribute to, everything amazing. So thank you so much for being here, everyone. Live chat and the discussion, everyone watching the replay. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. We all want to know what you think. Hit the like button, or bad things are going to happen to you because Mercury is in retrograde. I'm just kidding. I'd appreciate it though. And yeah, I appreciate all of you, and please be safe because, well, enough is said, man.
It's a dangerous world.
It is a dangerous.
Sorry. I'm
It's a
sorry.
dangerous world, and life is hard.
I just stole from. I'm sorry. Okay. Wait, I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you, Kelly. It was great talking to you. I love you so much.
Great. Thank you so much for coming up. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right. Good night, love.
Good night, sweetheart. I'll talk to you very soon. Thank you so much. You're awesome.
Okay, bye.
Oh boy. Funny. Interesting. Crime. You think he'd commit the crime in icy weather? Yeah, I think he'd commit the crime in icy weather. I don't know if you asked that before. We were just talking about, oh yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah, for sure, because he wasn't thinking about that. Those were minor details. His plans were big. His ego was grandiose. His confidence was like seriously, like through the roof. His self-doubt was nil. His sense of like having a conscience and moral and ethics had faded away, and that became fine with him. It's icy. Well, this has got to be the day, either because of Kaylee or, that letter was intense. He was following the same pattern he'd been following all of his life that, I think was, I don't know. I think he battled with it his whole life. And it was happening again in a much bigger way where he couldn't hide it because, if you get kicked out of your doctoral program, which is clearly where this was heading, he knew he did not have the resiliency skills to get back on track there. I mean, your doctoral program's done. You're headed back across the country to go home with your tail tucked between your legs and your head down. What are your sisters going to think? They both got through their programs just fine. What are your, and like all of these, I don't know. There's just so much. There's so much here. Mm-hmm. Let's see. All right. I know it was icy though. I don't so Jailer, I'm sorry. I'm going to focus on this. I know I asked you before and then I got talking to Jeannie. Where are you finding it's not icy? Could you let me know so I can just like compare? Because I looked at a few different weather sources and historical weather sources and talked to a couple people who recall that day. Like, yeah. So I'm not trying to say like, oh, but I just, if you could like give me the source, I want to just like include it in the analysis for sure that, it's fair enough. So. Yeah, there was snow in the pictures. I mean, that's just, there was for sure. Okay, glad you found info. Can you please let me know where you guys are finding this info? Without a source, info is non-existent. But maybe you already put one in here and I just haven't seen it yet. So that's what I'm looking for right now. Allergies. Oh, yes, Violetta. Yeah, that's correct. Yes, I'm a behavioral therapist. Yep, that's what I do. That's what my career is in. I work with teenagers. Yeah, a sister lived in that area. Yep. Right. Let's see here. Time was okay. Yeah, I think Andre, I think he definitely didn't expect Ethan there, man. Ooh. Let's see here. Two extra. So here's something that is brought up a lot. 2 extra cars in the driveway would have deterred someone who who didn't expect a house full. Well, okay. So first of all, this driveway, whether it was, and unless he knew whose cars they were, I don't know, but from what I heard from people that live in that neighborhood, these streets, like when school is in session and, whether it's a weekend or a weekday and the students are there, these streets are packed. And I remember that from, well, actually it wasn't one of the colleges, when I lived in Center City in the Philadelphia. But anyway, sometimes it can take you a long time to look for a parking spot. Now here's something I was going to say. I wasn't even going to talk about Ethan's car, but there's just a little bit about it. I don't think that Ethan's car was there when he arrived at, say it's 4 a.m. or whatever. Now remember, Ethan went with his sister Maisie to her sorority's semi-formal or whatever for a short time earlier that evening. And we know that Hunter is also in the Sigma Chi fraternity, which is a 3 to 4 minute walk from 1122 King Road. And you can also drive. Takes maybe slightly less time than it does to do that short walk, and I can't remember exactly where at one point, and it was much earlier it was a while ago. I just simply don't remember. I'm sorry. But they would okay, let's just say Ethan and his siblings, they were all in that same area. Oftentimes, none of them needed to have a car to get to and fro. It was a very kind of self-contained world and community for them. And according to people that knew them, that's how it always was for them. And that's how they liked it. And so maybe, Hunter would take the car somewhere. He'd come back. He would park the car either at, and this is something that I specifically learned the 3 of them would do as a habit, either by the fraternity house where was their home when they were in college, or, Xana, Ethan's girlfriend's house was super close. So if there weren't any parking spots at Sig Chi, they would be allowed to park at 1122. And then it was either Maisie or one of Maisie's friends. There was another house that had to do with Maisie that was about in that same distance. That was another option. And all of these options of where they could park a car were in, you could see these options from each other. So it wasn't like they were oh shit, the car's not here. Now I'm going to have to go trek uphill 5 miles and uphill another 5 miles. You just had to look to the left, look to the right, short walk. They didn't mind it. They were all very social. They loved bumping into each other. They liked, banding about in their happy little community. So that's how they function. That's just these are some things that I don't know, you wouldn't even think about unless you're thinking about how people behave. And we are all weird little creatures. And I never would have even thought about that unless somebody was talking about it. And I asked a question or two and I was like, oh, that's interesting because that could change some things, right? So I don't know how many people have asked me about that. So there's part of the answer. Yeah, right. I think I agree with. I think that part of the driving by. I think he was getting anxious. I think he had in mind a place where he was going to park and a path he was going to walk. I think when he saw the reality of what was going on, whether it was, people were still. I don't know whatever it was. Maybe it was the ice. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe there were other factors. Maybe it was one of those. He was like, oh, I can't do that now. Oh my God. I didn't think they're like, I got to find a plan B. And I think eventually it just came down to, he's there, fuck it at all costs. I'm doing this, but the lights have got to go off first. I'm clad in black. Let's go. Yeah. In my opinion. Could also be to throw law enforcement off. I didn't even think about that. That's a good theory. Oh my God. Some of these are hilarious. Some of them are very smart. That was a good call, J. Lord. But have you? I'm sorry. I don't want to keep harassing you about this, or I don't know. Maybe you already did put in chat, or if you could email me. Where did you find that that there was no snow or ice or whatever? Because if I'm wrong, I am going to let you guys know that. Oh my gosh, look at this! I was wrong, but I was looking for ranging historical weather reports because that's what you usually find, and I didn't really find that. So I'm just trying to see what I missed or what I need to complement the whole picture. Yeah, no, there wasn't a lot of snow. No, there's a lot of snow personally, but there is snow. And for snow to remain, I don't know, like in the way it is, I just, yeah, it was certainly wasn't, I don't know. I'm getting tired. I don't have anything else to say, but yeah, there was not a lot of snow. Yeah, thank you for saying that. I wasn't even going to just say, yeah, so you talk like you know him. No one knows him, but you know what I do know? I do know the makeup of certain psychological profiles and the indicators of those boxes that you check off to create the psychological profile and the behaviors and the symptoms in one's life and one's personality that indicate they exist, because that's what my career is in. That's what I've been doing for like a long time in my life, seriously. So no, I don't know him, and that's why I said I don't know him. I've never met him. I have not interviewed him. I have not sat with him in person to evaluate properly, because you can't make a proper evaluation unless you meet someone face to face. Yeah, all of that. So people freaking just like, never mind. Tired and cranky. I'm tired. I'm not cranky, but I'm tired. I'm not gonna say anything more. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, J Lord. I'm so glad you do that. Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with you, J Lord. Email, if you get a chance to, can you please email me at whatsobsession@gmail.com, J Lord? I think I tried to talk to you about this another time too. I just remembered this long time ago. We first started talking about this. I actually have something I want to share with you and run by you. I'm not sure how to handle it, and I'd really appreciate if you could email me or give me your email. Thank you. Jody is cool for, yeah, I know. Jeez, I know. I think that's possible, Andre. I think it seems to me, and I don't know Kohlberger, but I see some signs of this, and this is a pattern that some people that seem a little bit like him in some ways fall into. Women are a big problem for him, and unfortunately in his mind, for him, he's down on his luck, so this problem keeps repeating itself. But remember, it couldn't be his problem, because he sees himself with grandiose confidence and self-esteem and delusions, right? So it's the women's problem, obviously, because it can't be his. The problem is becoming bigger. Gosh darn it, no matter how hard he tries to help the problem and fix the problem, and even gives the problem the benefit of the doubt and lets the problem get away with shit, that problem keeps coming back to him and keeps getting more and more agitating. This is how he sees women. I really believe this. I feel like there's plenty of case study on, I don't know, on this kind of behavior, and this, I don't know. This is for another video or live stream, or just maybe not at all. But so let me circle back to Andre's comment, which says he probably saw them at their work and felt disrespected or rejected. I think he felt he could have been the center of a fantasy love triangle, and malignant aberrations developed within the rejection. It's something exactly like that. I could totally see something just like that going on in his Kohlberger brain. Hi, Jessica. How are you? I always love it when I see you. How's it going, girl? Nice to see ya. All right, let me get down to the bottom here. Yeah. Okay. Jailer says I always. All right. So no, this is like okay. I always double check and most of the time triple check. It snowed the 9th and 15th, and the 12th was cold and clear. Right. That might be right. I don't have I was just actually looking for my weather file, but I think it's actually on a different, it's like on a different desktop. Anyway, that could be right with the precipitation, but I don't know where in the world I don't know, but it's still what is described right there is a perfectly fine condition for developing ice, depending on a number of things. I don't know. I don't know. We'll talk about though. I really want to figure out the weather because I think it's important. We'll figure it out. Oh, still, did you let me know where you found that information? I'm looking again. If not, that's okay. Let's see. I went to the Weather Channel in Moscow, another national weather, and also the National Weather Service. Okay. So, sorry to get fixated on this, but I just have to know. So, did you, J-Lord, so you went to the Weather Channel in Moscow and the National Weather Service. So, were you watching the weather that was happening that day as it was being reported, the weather forecast, or a historical record? There's another word, historical record. Historical weather record. Wow, I'm tired. Yeah. Yep. It said that too. I don't know who said it first, me or you. You want to raise? I'm just kidding, but yeah, I mean that is a factor, though. I mean, when I went to college and after learning to drive where I live, which is 50 minutes north of, miles north of the Pocono. Well, she's going back yourself, Kelly. It's colder here and icier. And when I went to college, like none of my roommates or friends could drive at times, depending on if the weather was bad. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, this is like absolutely nothing, and they closed down school and the whole city, and it was crazy. Huh, that is kind of interesting, J Lord. Wow. I can imagine where you're going with that, but that is interesting. But I'm wondering if because they were under the lights and the grub truck was running and like the people, I mean, like that kind of a situation could easily create enough ambient and human heat to I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of weird though. Maybe it's weird. No, I'm gonna have to look into it. Oh my gosh. You get steady warning. Oh my gosh. The snow on the roof was from November 9th. Right. And it was still there because from November 9th, when it snowed, to November 13th, it was cold enough for that snow, even in direct sun, to still be snow. So maybe we're saying the same thing. I don't know. The mom must be. Yeah, don't summon her. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said the name either. Let's not summon that one. I did. Thank you so much, J Lord. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you. Thank you. No, there's not a lot of snow on the concrete. I don't know. Maybe I'm way behind now. Here's my summary of the weather. There's obviously not a lot of snow on the ground. There is little patches of snow here, there, and on the roof, and on some sidewalks, and blah, 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 blah. And maybe it did snow on the 9th and the 15th, just like J Lord said. The temperatures did not. And so then look at the rain prior to the. Oh my God, there's so many things you have to take into consideration though. But let's just look at snowed. Did it warm up enough between when it snowed and what was the condition of? Oh my God, there's so many questions. But even okay, let's take the simple one. I keep going back to between when it snowed and the 13th. Did it warm up enough for everything to melt and be all not slippery or icy or snowy at all? So, okay, maybe, on the treated roads, there wasn't any ice, but I'm telling you where there was ice in the roads that weren't treated because, well, it is Idaho. And so a lot of people just can drive with their 4-wheel vehicles in that. And also when you live on a cul-de-sac and have kind of like little sub roads that are, kind of roads that are, just go to one apartment building or one big apartment complex, those are the roads that might not get plowed. That's what I'm saying. And that's where my focus is. And that's what so I don't know, we might not be saying something so different, but I feel like the weather's really important. Yes, ideas spinning, spinning, spinning. It's crazy. Ice, baby. Yeah, ice is ice. I know. And there was ice on the ground. What? I don't know what you're saying, Ed. Ice on the parking lot, be ice. And if it's ice in that parking lot, it would be ice in their parking lot. No, it would not necessarily be that because they're not all treated the same. And these parking lots here, they're not owned by the government. They're owned by the people that own the buildings. And oh my God, I can just remember, oh my God, just my neighborhood. I can remember my house in college where people would be snowed in for days and other people, their landlord would come and completely plow them out and also plow off their porch and give them one of those heat lamps, you find it like a restaurant that wants to have some outdoor space or just a line that goes outside. And, there's just, because it snows or because there is ice does not mean that snow and ice is going to remain or change form exactly the same in all of Moscow, Idaho, or all the same neighborhood or all of the same lawn. Where's their shape? Where's their sun? I don't know why I feel so strongly about this. No, I do, because I think the weather is important. It always is. By looking at the day, I wouldn't say there's ice though. We are all sticking to our points. Not by looking at that day maybe, but by looking at what was going on at 3 or 4 in the morning. When I need to know where you guys live. You all don't live in upstate New York. You guys are so funny. And then Ivy Lane says, well, I checked the November 13th pics. They do not show the stage right side of the house. So, I don't know what we're talking about. Xana was too strong for Koberger's taste. She was. I believe that too, yeah. Aww. Truth Matters. Awesome. Thank you. Says, hi, not just with Bethany, what she saw. She heard Bethany Funk was interviewed several times and disclosed things that she saw and heard to law enforcement. Thank you so much. That really is a very important piece of the statement in the document. Thank you. Yeah, no, I get that. I get what you're saying, Nicole, but I think that, that wasn't gonna scratch the itch for Koberger. I mean, it was more than an itch, but you know what I'm saying. Thank you for the email, Truth Matters, that just came through. Thank you so much. Oh my God, dude, I'm sorry. I just have to pause to observe now. That I was like talking about the weather so much before I even got down to all these comments. We all need, everybody stop what you're doing right now. Everybody hold hands. We're obsessing right now. I think we're all a little tired. We are all freakishly obsessing over the weather. It was important, but we're saying things that no longer make sense. It's actually kind of funny to read. You guys are the best. And yes, I would. And now I've got to go. I still can't stop. I'm sorry. Everybody drop hands. I'm not doing that anymore. Kumbaya. PKC says, I thought I heard it got foggy in the early AM. 28 degrees could be freezing fog. You might live in the ranging elevation region of upstate New York. Ding, ding, ding. That's exactly it. Yes. Yep. There's so many variables other than just, yes, that's exactly it. You sound like an upstate New Yorker. You're my kind of upstate New Yorker. No. Oh my gosh. I know. I have to go to bed. Oh my God. I'm so tired. Yes, I am. I got to go to bed. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I really appreciate all of you. And everybody stop talking about the weather now. We're obsessing. I'm just kidding. You guys are so funny though. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah, everybody please lock your doors. Be safe. Oh my God. This live stream is so long. Holy cow. Yeah. And I'll see you guys again soon. Take care, everybody.